Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Facts channel. Tonight, we will drift together through the gentle miracles of our world, the soft truths that surround you every day, woven quietly into the rhythm of life itself. You are about to listen not to the loud discoveries or dazzling spectacles of nature, but to its calmest harmonies, the small, unassuming wonders that hold the earth in balance. So, wherever you are, find stillness. Let the day fade behind you. Let your shoulders loosen. Let your breathing slow into the pace of the planet itself. Because the earth, too, breathes in long, slow rhythms. And tonight, you will breathe with it. When we look at our world in daylight, it can seem busy and loud, the rush of cities, the hum of machines, the endless flow of sound and motion. But beneath all that, there is something else, a vast quietness, a living, steady heartbeat that has been pulsing for billions of years. It is in the movement of water, in the drift of air, in the patient unfolding of a leaf towards sunlight. Even the rocks underfoot are moving, only too slowly for us to see. Life on Earth, in all its colors and complexity, is the planet's way of whispering, "I am here." As you listen, try to imagine our planet not as a solid place of noise and edges, but as something soft and breathing, a luminous sphere floating in space, wrapped in clouds, shimmering with oceans that mirror the sky. Every atom of that world has been somewhere else before. The oxygen in your lungs was once locked inside stones, then freed by ancient trees. The carbon that shapes your body may have drifted through the atmosphere of another world. And the hydrogen in the water that runs through you, it was born at the dawn of time, in the first seconds after the universe began. To be alive is to be part of a story that began long before there was sound, or thought, or sunlight. You are made of time itself, slowed into form. If you close your eyes, you might imagine yourself floating high above the earth. From here, everything looks calm. The continents drift beneath swirls of cloud. The oceans gleam in shades of cobalt and grey. There is no noise from this height. No chatter or engines or alarms. Only motion, slow, patient, circular motion. The planet turns with perfect rhythm, carrying mountains, rivers, forests, and cities around the sun in a dance that has lasted 4.5 billion years. Everything you know happens in this quiet orbit. Every birth, every storm, every falling leaf. And yet, the universe beyond watches in silence. Space does not hurry. Stars do not rush. Even time itself moves gently here. Down below, life is a miracle of persistence. Consider this. Almost everything on Earth, from the smallest grain of sand to the deepest ocean trench, participates in a shared cycle. Water evaporates, drifts as vapor, condenses, and returns as rain. Rocks rise as mountains, crumble into dust, and harden again beneath the sea. Plants inhale what animals exhale. Every movement, every breath, every wave is connected to another in a web so intricate that it feels alive, because it is. The world is not a collection of separate things, but a single, continuous motion, a quiet exchange between air and soil, between light and shadow, between birth and decay. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is lost. It is a perfect circle, repeating endlessly. Even now, as you rest, the planet continues its work. Trees pull water upward through invisible threads. Rivers carry minerals toward the sea. Winds carry the scent of flowers and the dust of distant lands. Tiny creatures move through the soil beneath you, recycling the fallen and forgotten into the promise of growth. Millions of cells within your own body mirror that same process, dividing, repairing, renewing, without you ever asking them to. You are not separate from nature. You are a smaller reflection of it. The same balance that governs the oceans and seasons also governs your breath and heartbeat. In this way, Every life is part of one enormous organism, the Earth itself. Sometimes it is easy to forget that such peace still exists. We live surrounded by glass and light, so that the night sky, once our oldest companion, fades into memory. Yet if you step outside on a quiet evening and look up, you will see it waiting for you, the sky, infinite and patient. Somewhere high above, meteors drift like gentle sparks. The moon, scarred but radiant, balances the tides and keeps the planet steady in its tilt. Its gravity pulls at the oceans, and even at you, though you do not feel it. Every wave that breaks upon the shore, every ebb and flow of the tide, is a silent conversation between the sea and the moon. It has been happening for as long as Earth has had water to move. It's humbling to think that all of life's beauty, every forest, every heartbeat, every drop of rain depends on delicate coincidences. The Earth's distance from the sun, neither too near nor too far. The presence of liquid water, rare in the universe. The tilt of our axis, giving us seasons. The thin atmosphere, filtering sunlight into warmth and color. Even the moon's gentle pull, keeping our climate stable. These are not random details. They are the exact balance that allows life to hum softly in the dark. The more we understand it, the more miraculous it becomes. If you listen closely, you might begin to sense the planet's rhythm. It is not the ticking of a clock or the beat of a drum. It is slower, a rhythm measured in tides, migrations, and growth rings of trees. It moves through everything that exists, uniting the living and the inert. The cycle of day and night, the bloom and decay of a flower, the silent drift of continents beneath your feet, all of it part of one great pulse. The Earth is not still. It is breathing, growing, dreaming in geological time, and every heartbeat, every sleeping breath you take, joins that ancient pulse. Tonight, as you rest, try to imagine that connection. The atoms of your body were forged in stars, carried through space, assembled into oceans, and gathered into the life you now call your own. You are not a visitor on this planet. You are its continuation, a brief expression of its memory. When you sleep, the same processes that keep the forests alive move quietly through you. Your cells exchange signals like trees through roots. Your blood flows like rivers. Your breath drifts like mist. You are made of the same patterns that shape the world. So as you lie back and listen to the slow stories of this planet, allow the sound of your own breathing to merge with the rhythm of the Earth. Imagine the oceans rising and falling with your chest, the winds following the pace of your thoughts. There is nothing to do, nothing to solve, nothing to hold on to. The world has been unfolding for billions of years without ever needing to hurry. And tonight, it continues, gently, endlessly, beneath you. For now, just rest. Let the quiet weight of the planet cradle you. Let the distant hum of life remind you that you are part of something immeasurable and kind. The most relaxing facts about life on Earth are not the strange or the rare, but the simple ones, the ones that tell us we belong, that we are made of the same material as the sea and the sky, and that even in stillness, we are part of a motion too vast to ever stop. The Earth is breathing. You are breathing. And in that shared rhythm, everything is at peace. 1. The planet that breathes. If you listen carefully, even now, beneath the hum of your surroundings, beneath the murmur of your thoughts, you can almost hear it, a soft, unending rhythm that has been flowing since the beginning of life. The Earth itself is breathing, not in the way a creature does, with lungs or pulse, but through a vast and gentle exchange between the air, the oceans, the forests, and every living thing that has ever drawn breath. It is the slow respiration of a world alive, with motion, invisible yet constant, delicate yet powerful. Each gust of wind, each sigh of cloud, each whisper through the trees is part of this planetary inhalation and exhalation, that binds every creature together. Imagine, for a moment, that you could watch the planet from far above, not as a scientist with instruments or as a traveler seeking new sights, but as a quiet observer, someone simply listening. From that vantage, you would see more than continents and oceans. You would see a rhythm, a pattern of gases and sunlight, rising and falling in endless harmony. Carbon dioxide drifts into the air from soil and sea, only to be drawn back into the leaves of a forest 1,000 miles away. Oxygen, freshly born from the deep green of chlorophyll, spreads through the atmosphere like a sigh of life, feeding creatures that may never know the trees that made it. The planet inhales light and exhales life. And within that silent exchange, everything you know, every plant, every animal, every breath you have ever taken has found its place. This cycle is ancient beyond measure. Long before the first human drew breath, the Earth's lungs were already alive. Cyanobacteria, small and unseen, floated through the primeval seas, learning to capture sunlight and turn it into energy. In doing so, they released oxygen, a waste product to them, but a gift to everything that would come after. That oxygen began to fill the atmosphere, slowly transforming a barren world into one that could support complex life. In this way, the first breath the planet took was not with lungs, but with light. From that moment onward, the chemistry of air and life became inseparable. The breath of the earth was born from water, sunlight, and time. Today, that same rhythm continues in every leaf and blade of grass. The forests, those vast green lungs, draw in carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen in their long, patient work. Every tree participates, from the smallest sapling to the ancient redwoods whose crowns touch the clouds. A single large tree can produce enough oxygen for several human beings to breathe, yet it never claims that act as effort or burden. It does so quietly, continuously, as part of the deep memory written into its cells. Beneath the soil, roots mingle with fungi, passing nutrients like messages, connecting one tree to another in networks that span entire forests. These invisible threads carry not only sustenance but communication, signals of stress, of shade, of danger. Through this hidden symphony, the trees breathe as one. The forest becomes a living lung, expanding and contracting with the rhythm of light and darkness, day and night. As the sun crosses the sky, photosynthesis begins and pauses in unison around the globe. When morning touches the Amazon, leaves unfurl and begin to drink the light. When evening drifts over Africa, the savannas quiet their exchange. Somewhere, always, half the planet is inhaling while the other half exhales. Scientists who study the fine chemistry of the atmosphere have traced this global breathing. The amount of carbon dioxide in the air rises and falls with the seasons, a pulse so steady it could be mistaken for the heartbeat of the earth itself. In spring, when plants awaken and forests flourish, the planet inhales deeply, drawing down the gases that warm its air. In autumn and winter, when leaves fall and decay, it exhales, releasing what it has gathered. The pattern repeats every year, soft and reliable, a planetary lullaby. Yet this breath is not only in the forests. The oceans, too, are part of the same great respiration. Across their surface, waves absorb carbon dioxide from the air, dissolving it into their depths, where microscopic plants, phytoplankton, use it to grow. These drifting specks of life, smaller than dust, are the invisible lungs of the sea. They bloom in vast swirls that can be seen from space, turning sunlight into food and releasing oxygen that drifts upward to join the air we breathe. It is estimated that every second breath you take comes from the ocean, from life so small you could hold millions of them on the tip of a needle. The sea and the sky trade their gases like partners in an endless waltz, inhaling and exhaling through each other. keeping the balance that allows everything else to exist. Even the soil breathes. Beneath your feet, millions of unseen organisms are at work. Bacteria, fungi, and roots, exchanging gases in microscopic exchanges. When you walk through a meadow or a forest, you are treading on a living skin that exhales warmth and moisture. Each handful of earth releases a faint sigh of carbon dioxide, part of the same cycle that began in the ocean billions of years ago. The scent of soil after rain, that rich, earthy aroma, is the perfume of life renewing itself, the breath of microorganisms greeting the return of water and light. Every creature participates in this breathing. When you exhale, you return carbon to the air, carbon that may one day find its way back into a leaf, then into a seed, then perhaps into another living being entirely. In this way, life is not a collection of individuals, but a shared inhalation and exhalation that moves through time. Your breath may contain atoms once inhaled by a whale gliding beneath Antarctic ice, or by a flower blooming thousands of years ago. There is no true boundary between where one breath ends and another begins. The atmosphere is the oldest common thread, one endless breath shared across all species, across all eras. Sometimes, when the world feels restless, it helps to remember that this quiet respiration continues no matter what happens above it. The forests breathe even when cities do not listen. The oceans rise and fall. The winds carry their invisible currents, and the planet keeps its rhythm, patient and forgiving. Human life, brief and bright, moves within that rhythm like a single note within a long, slow song. You are part of that song, even when you forget the melody. Every inhale you take is drawn from the same air that fed dinosaurs and drifted through ancient jungles. Every exhale you release becomes part of the wind that will cool a future you will never see. If you close your eyes now, you can almost feel it, the gentle expansion of the world around you. The air entering your lungs is the same air that once moved through forests, across waves, over mountains, through rain and time. It is not still. It has journeyed endlessly to find you, and as you let it go, you return it, completing the circle once more. The planet continues to breathe through you, through every living thing, in a calm and endless exchange. This is the most natural rhythm there is, the inhale of day and the exhale of night, the turning of seasons, the balance of ocean and cloud. It is the same rhythm that once stirred the first single-celled life in the sea, and now moves through every breath you take. To live is to join in this cosmic respiration, to be part of a miracle so continuous that it feels like stillness. So, as you rest, let your breathing fall into harmony with the planet's slow, deep, and effortless. The Earth is breathing, and so are you. In that shared motion, everything living finds its peace. 2. Every breath you take once belonged to the stars. Every breath you take is older than memory. The air that fills your lungs tonight has drifted through the veins of the universe for billions of years. It has shimmered in starlight, frozen in comets, and drifted between worlds. Each molecule of oxygen, nitrogen, and hydrogen that enters your body carries the quiet story of creation. A story that began long before Earth was born, when the universe itself was young and restless. To breathe, then, is to touch the ancient, to draw the cosmos inside yourself with every inhale, and to release it again with every exhale. The first atoms that would one day form our air came from fire, not the kind that burns on a candle's wick, but the kind that burns stars into being. In the beginning, there was no earth, no sun, no air to breathe. There was only the newborn universe, expanding and cooling from the vast energy of its birth. As it calmed, protons and neutrons began to join together, forming hydrogen and helium, the simplest elements. Those tiny atoms became the first building blocks of everything. Even now, the hydrogen in the water you drink and the air you breathe is the same hydrogen that was forged in that first moment after the Big Bang, untouched and eternal. When you take a sip of water, when you inhale the damp air after rain, you are tasting the dawn of existence itself. But hydrogen and helium alone could not build a world. For something as complex as life to emerge, heavier elements were needed: oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, iron, and these would not exist until the first stars were born. Inside their hearts, where gravity and heat pressed matter into unimaginable density, hydrogen began to fuse into helium, releasing light and warmth. Then, through billions of years, that fusion continued, building new elements layer by layer: carbon for the bones of living things, nitrogen for the breath of life, and oxygen for fire and oceans alike. When those first stars exhausted their fuel, they collapsed and exploded in violent beauty, scattering their newly forged elements into the void. Every star that died was a seed, sending its ashes into the dark to become the dust that would someday form planets, oceans, and breath. The atoms of your body are among those ashes. The oxygen in your lungs once blazed in the heart of a star that died before the sun was born. The carbon in your cells was once scattered through the spiral arms of a galaxy, floating through light years of silence. The calcium in your bones was made in the final seconds of a supernova's roar. Every breath, every heartbeat, every thought you have ever had is a continuation of that stellar rhythm. You are, quite literally, the universe remembering itself. The air you breathe is not just atmosphere, it is ancestry written in atoms. When the solar system formed, about 4.6 billion years ago, that ancient dust began to gather again, drawn together by gravity's patient pull. Tiny particles clung to each other, forming larger bodies that collided and merged until a planet was born. Earth began as molten stone, wrapped in gas and storm, too violent for life, too young for stillness. Yet, even then, the air was already ancient. Hydrogen and helium from the cosmos mingled with volcanic gases and water vapor rising from the cooling crust. Lightning flickered through those early skies, and within those flashes, chemistry began to stir. From chaos came complexity. From heat came the first whispers of breath. Over time, that atmosphere transformed. Volcanic gases cooled. The first oceans formed, and within them, simple life emerged, organisms that learned to use sunlight and carbon dioxide to make energy. In their microscopic cells, the chemistry of stars found new purpose. Through photosynthesis, they began to release oxygen, the element once born in fire, now reborn in water and light. Slowly, over hundreds of millions of years, the air changed from a toxic haze into the clear, life-giving mixture we know today. The same oxygen that once glowed in the heart of stars now glowed in the sky as blue. Every breath you take tonight is part of that unbroken chain. Starlight transformed into air, fire transformed into life. It's strange to think that something as ordinary as breathing connects you so deeply to the cosmos. Yet it's true. Each time you inhale, you are gathering atoms that have been everywhere through deserts, mountains, oceans, and stars. The nitrogen you draw into your lungs may once have been part of a cloud drifting over an ancient sea. The oxygen may have belonged to a fern in a prehistoric forest, or to a fish breathing in a vanished reef. Some of those same atoms might have passed through the lungs of the first humans, or even the dinosaurs before them. Air has no boundaries. It flows endlessly, shared and renewed. When you breathe, you join the same circulation that has existed since the dawn of time, a single breath moving through every living thing, through every age of the world. This idea that breath is eternal can be difficult to grasp, but nature reminds us every day. A tree releases oxygen that becomes your breath. You release carbon dioxide that becomes the tree's nourishment. The air moves between you and the forest like a conversation, like a heartbeat shared across species. Even the smallest gust of wind is part of this ancient dialogue between sky and life. The same molecules of air move from leaf to lung to ocean and back again. There is no beginning, no end, only exchange. When you breathe in, the universe breathes out. When you exhale, the stars themselves take in the echo of your existence. To realize this is to feel something vast. You are not just a person in a single moment of time. You are part of a chain of creation that stretches back to the first light of the cosmos. Every breath is a continuation of that first expansion, the great exhalation of the universe itself. When you breathe, you are participating in that same cosmic rhythm, the inhale of gravity, the exhale of light. You are both the result and the witness of the universe's desire to know itself, to feel its own breath move through living form. At night, when the air cools and the stars emerge, it can feel as though the sky is drawing nearer, as if the space between you and the cosmos thins. In truth, that space was never there at all. You are made of the same substance, breathing the same atoms, glowing with the same light, only slowed into human form. The starlight you see traveled across time to reach your eyes. Yet the atoms within you have traveled just as far across ages, across galaxies, through countless cycles of death and rebirth. In the quiet, as you breathe, you are hearing the faintest echo of that ancient story, the whisper of the stars that made you. So tonight, as you drift towards sleep, imagine each breath as a wave in an ocean of time. Feel the air move in and out, gentle and unhurried. Remember that what fills your lungs has filled countless lives before yours and will continue long after. You are part of the long memory of the universe, a bridge between the fires of creation and the calm of this moment. With every breath, the cosmos continues its slow, eternal sigh through you. The stars are breathing still, and their breath is your own. 3. Trees speak through the ground. If you walk into a forest and stand very still, you might think you've entered a place of silence. The air is hushed, except for the rustle of leaves, the faint creak of a branch, the distant murmur of birds. But beneath that quiet, a vast conversation is happening, not in sound or sight, but in chemistry, in the slow language of roots and soil. The forest is alive with communication, and its words are not spoken through air, but through the ground. Trees, those ancient towers of breath and shadow, are not solitary beings. They are members of a hidden society, one that reaches far below your feet and spreads across entire landscapes. Their roots touch, intertwine, and share. They speak in the language of molecules, in the currency of carbon, in the quiet generosity of life itself. For centuries, people thought trees were individuals, independent lives, standing shoulder to shoulder, competing for light, water, and soil. The forest seemed like a crowded marketplace, each trunk fighting for its own share of the sun. But now we know that this picture is incomplete. Scientists have discovered something far more beautiful. Beneath every forest floor, an invisible network connects the roots of nearly every tree, shrub, and plant. It is made of thin filaments of fungus, weaving through the soil like threads in a tapestry. This network, called the mycorrhizal network, allows trees to share resources, send warnings, and even nourish one another across distances. It is sometimes called the Wood Wide Web, a living internet older than language itself. Through this underground web, trees exchange nutrients and messages. When sunlight falls on their leaves, they use it to create sugars, their form of energy. But they don't keep it all. Some of that energy is sent downward, into their roots, where it is shared with the fungi in return for minerals and water. The fungi, in turn, pass nutrients from one tree to another, from young saplings shaded beneath the canopy to the towering elders that have stood for centuries. This quiet trade happens all the time, unseen, without sound or motion. If you could shrink yourself small enough to, you wander among the roots, you would see a living city beneath the soil, glowing faintly with exchanges of life. The air would hum with electrical pulses and chemical whispers, each molecule carrying meaning, a call for help, a gift, a warning. Older trees, sometimes called mother trees, act as the anchors of this underground community. Their roots stretch wide and deep, touching those of many others. Through the network, they send extra carbon and nitrogen to smaller trees struggling in the shade. In a drought, they share water. When a tree is attacked by insects, it releases chemical signals that travel through the fungi to warn its neighbors, prompting them to produce defensive compounds before the danger arrives. Even when a tree is dying, it releases its remaining resources into the soil, giving its last stored sugars to the younger trees nearby. The forest, it turns out, is not ruled by competition alone. It is a society of care, woven through with generosity that has no need for witness. When you walk through a forest, each step you take presses lightly on this hidden network. The soil beneath you is not still. It's alive with movement and exchange. Water threads through microscopic channels. Minerals dissolve and flow. Tiny organisms crawl between grains of sand, shaping the chemistry of life. Every root tip you cannot see is alive with awareness, tasting the soil, following faint gradients of moisture and light, responding to the messages of others. Scientists have found that tree roots can even recognize their own kin. When related trees grow nearby, their roots are less likely to compete for space or resources. Instead, they will often share more freely, as if remembering a deeper bond. It is as though forests carry within them a quiet family memory, a sense of connection that extends across generations. If you could listen to the forest's language, it would not sound like words, but like rhythm. It would move in slow pulses as nutrients flow. Through roots and signals travel from trunk to trunk, it would sound like the planet breathing, a whisper that has been continuous for hundreds of millions of years. Long before humans learned to speak, trees were already talking. They have witnessed the birth of mountains, the passing of glaciers, the arrival of countless creatures. Their language has no noise because it does not need one. The conversation is carried in time itself, in the steady exchange between earth and sky, between decay and growth, between one generation of leaves and the next. There is something deeply calming about this knowledge that the forest is alive with care. When a storm breaks a branch or a fire burns through the undergrowth, the network begins to heal almost immediately. Fungi regrow, roots reconnect, and the cycle continues. Even in destruction, the forest remembers itself. Seeds sprout where ash falls, nourished by the remains of what once stood. The breath of one generation becomes the food for another. In this way, the conversation of the forest never ends. It simply changes tone. And though we cannot hear it with our ears, we feel it. You might notice that when you walk among trees, your breath slows. The air seems thicker, softer, more deliberate. Part of that is the oxygen they release, the same oxygen that your lungs crave, but another part is harder to describe. It's a resonance, a biological harmony between your own body and the living world around you. Humans evolved with trees under their canopies, breathing their air. When you stand in a forest, your body remembers that. Your pulse sinks to its quiet pace, your senses soften, and your mind begins to match the rhythm of the leaves. You are, in that moment, part of the network too, another living being joined to the same air, the same soil, the same slow whisper of life. If you were to stay long enough to truly listen, you might feel that the forest speaks not only to itself, but to you. It tells you, without words, that life is not a solitary act. That connection is the truest form of strength, that giving and receiving are the same motion, part of one endless exchange. When a tree falls, its roots feed the next generation. When leaves drop, they become the soil that sustains others. The forest is not a collection of individuals, it is one body, one breath, one memory stretching through centuries. And just as trees share their nutrients through soil, we too share our energy through kindness, through compassion, through the invisible threads that tie one human life to another. The same principle echoes across scales from the smallest root to the largest society. The world thrives on connection. Nothing grows in isolation. So as you breathe tonight, imagine the roots beneath the ground, spreading in silence, touching, exchanging, holding the earth together. Imagine that you are part of that web, your breath mingling with the forests, your heartbeat echoing its calm. You are not outside of this world, but within it, moving through the same quiet language of balance and care. Beneath your feet, beneath the soil, beneath even the thought of distance, life is speaking softly, endlessly, reminding you that you belong. 4. The ocean's pulse never stops. If you could stand on a quiet shore and listen long enough, you would hear it, not the crash of waves or the cry of distant birds, but something slower, deeper, older, a rhythm too vast to fit inside a single heartbeat. It is the pulse of the ocean, moving through time itself. Beneath the surface, beyond what eyes can see, the sea breathes in endless cycles, drawing in warmth, releasing it, stirring the salt and the light. The tides rise and fall with the pull of the moon, and in that steady motion, the planet finds its balance. The ocean is not just water, it is a living current, a vast memory that holds the history of the earth. It carries the heat of sunlight, the dust of mountains, the whispers of ancient storms. It holds the breath of every creature that has ever lived. And even now, as you read these words, it is moving beneath you, keeping time with your own quiet pulse. The ocean is where the story of life began. Long before there were forests or birds or rain, the world was covered in sea. It was a restless place, stirred by tides and warmed by a young sun. Within its depths, chemistry began to dream. Simple molecules joined, drifted, and merged, until something astonishing happened. Life began to divide, to grow, to change. The first cells floated through that salty water, absorbing energy from sunlight and minerals from the depths. Each one was a small echo of the sea itself, tiny bubbles of ocean held within delicate walls. Even today, the water in your blood, the salt in your tears, the rhythms of your heart, all are remnants of that ancient ocean. You carry the memory of it inside you. Beneath the waves, the ocean is not still. It moves in great rivers of water that circle the globe, the ocean currents. They are invisible highways, carrying warmth from the equator toward the poles and returning the cold water back again. This flow is known as the thermohaline circulation, driven by differences in temperature and saltiness. In the warm tropics, sunlight heats the surface, causing water to evaporate, leaving behind saltier, denser layers that sink into the deep. Near the poles, cold winds chill the water until it grows heavy enough to sink as well, beginning a slow journey along the ocean floor. These deep currents creep across the planet like hidden veins, taking centuries to complete a single loop. They rise again in distant places, bringing nutrients from the deep to feed the life above. It is a global heartbeat, one that never stops. This great circulation connects every sea and every coast. The water that touches the Arctic ice may one day wash onto the beaches of a distant island, carrying with it the memory of glaciers and storms. When you stand by the ocean, you are not looking at a single place. You are looking at the planet's entire circulatory system, a fluid network that unites every corner of the world. Each wave that breaks near your feet has traveled through the touch of wind, the light of stars, the breath of whales. Even now, particles of water are moving through that vast loop, from equator to pole, from surface to abyss, as they have done for millions of years. The ocean is the planet's great stabilizer. It stores heat in summer and releases it in winter, softening the extremes of climate. It absorbs carbon dioxide from the air, dissolving it into its depths, where it becomes part of the chemistry of life. The sea keeps the world's temperature steady, its atmosphere balanced, its weather alive. Without this quiet work, the planet would swing wildly between hot and cold, and life as we know it would not survive. The ocean's pulse is not only a rhythm of motion, it is a rhythm of protection. It regulates, nourishes, and renews the earth in silence, without ever asking for notice. Within this living system moves an unimaginable abundance of life. From the smallest drifting plankton to the largest whale, every creature is connected by the movement of the water. Plankton bloom in the sunlight near the surface, turning invisible energy into food. Fish rise to feed, seabirds dive, and deep below, great currents carry the remains downward, feeding creatures that live in eternal darkness. Even at the ocean's deepest trenches, where sunlight has never reached, life continues luminous, slow, and patient. The ocean's pulse is carried not just by water, but by life itself. Every creature, from coral polyps to giant squids, adds its rhythm to the collective motion, like notes in an endless song. The tides are the ocean breathing in plain sight. Twice each day, they rise and fall with the pull of the moon, drawing water across the coasts like a steady exhale. For thousands of years, humans have lived by this rhythm, building homes and harvests around its flow. The tides mark time for the planet, a reminder that even the moon, so distant and pale, has its hand on the heart of the world. When the moon drifts through its orbit, its gravity pulls on the sea, and the earth answers in kind. The waves swell, the coastlines shift, and somewhere on a quiet shore, the sound of the tide is the sound of balance itself. To listen to the ocean is to hear the planet thinking. Every movement of water is a record of wind and weather, of pressure and heat, of storms that were and storms that will be. A wave crashing on the shore today may have begun as a whisper in the middle of the sea weeks ago. The surface reflects the sky, but beneath that mirror lies depth without measure. Trenches deeper than mountains are tall, slopes where the weight of water presses with more force than anything on land could endure. Yet even there, in that crushing darkness, life persists, glowing with its own faint light. The ocean does not know stillness. It is always becoming, always renewing, always breathing. When sunlight touches the water, it scatters into shimmering patterns that ripple across the surface. Those glimmers are like the ocean's heartbeat, visible in light, the dance of waves that never truly repeat, each one born from the breath of wind. At dawn, the sea catches the sun like a mirror. At night, it reflects the stars. The boundaries blur, sky and water becoming one endless expanse of motion. The ocean is, in this way, the planet's great dreamer, a mind made of movement, thinking in waves. And just as your heart beats without your command, the ocean's pulse continues whether you notice it or not. It does not hurry, does not tire. Even when the surface is calm, deep currents move with quiet determination, carrying warmth, salt, and life through the veins of the earth. The sea is patient, and through that patience, it sustains everything. When rain falls, it will return to the sea. When rivers run, they will meet it again. The ocean does not hold grudges, does not remember boundaries. It only moves forward, endlessly. If you stand by the water and close your eyes, The sound of the waves becomes the sound of your own breath, a slow rhythm rising and falling in perfect harmony. The ocean's pulse is not separate from yours. The same hydrogen that flows through its depths flows through your veins. The same salt that makes it alive makes you alive. You are not standing beside it. You are part of it. The sea moves through you with every breath, every heartbeat, every drop of blood. So as night deepens and the world grows still, imagine that you are lying on the shore of the planet itself, listening to its heartbeat. Feel the slow tide within your chest match the tide of the world. The ocean's pulse never stops. It moves through time, through generations, through every living thing that has ever been. Even when we are gone, it will continue the steady, eternal rhythm of a planet that is alive. And in that motion, the earth reminds us of what peace truly is. Not the absence of movement, but the harmony of all things moving together. 5. Raindrops. Remember, ancient seas. If you listen to the sound of falling rain, you are hearing a memory older than mountains. Each drop that strikes the earth has been here before 1,000 times, 1,000,000 perhaps. It has traveled through oceans and clouds, through rivers and veins, through air and light. The rain is not new. It is ancient water, returning home once more. Every storm, every mist, every drop that beads upon your skin carries the story of the planet's long, unbroken cycle, the endless journey of water through time. To feel the rain is to touch history, not written in stone or script, but in motion. It is the handwriting of the earth itself, always rewriting, never fading. Long before there were forests or creatures or even land, there was water. The early earth was a world of fire and vapor, its surface molten and restless. Over time, as the planet cooled, water condensed from the atmosphere and fell as rain not for hours or days, but for centuries. The rain fell without pause, filling basins, smoothing mountains, carving the first rivers into stone. That same water still moves through the air, through clouds and bodies and waves. Nothing has been added, nothing lost. Every drop that falls now is the same matter that once fell onto volcanic plains billions of years ago, the same that shimmered on the wings of dragonflies, the same that has slept beneath ice and drifted as mist through the breath of time. When you watch a raindrop slide down a window pane, you are seeing the return of something that has wandered far. That drop may have once rested in the belly of a cloud above a distant ocean. It may have risen as vapor from a tropical wave or drifted in the spray of a breaking crest. Before that, it may have been frozen for centuries within the heart of a glacier or hidden deep within the soil, waiting for its turn to rise again. Every raindrop carries the map of its travels in its composition: salts, minerals, trace gases, the faint fingerprint of where it has been. Scientists can read those signals, tracing the origin of storms, the path of moisture across continents, even the breath of volcanoes. Yet even beyond measurement, the idea itself feels sacred. Water has no beginning and no end. It is the planet's quiet circulation, its ceaseless renewal. When the sun warms the sea, billions of tiny molecules rise into the air, invisible and weightless. They drift upward until the air cools them, and they join together as clouds, vast, floating oceans in the sky. Within those clouds, droplets gather and collide until they grow heavy enough to fall. A single storm may hold more water than all the rivers on Earth, waiting to be released. And when it falls, it does not choose where to land. Some drops will feed a river. Some will sink into soil and vanish underground. Some will linger upon leaves, glittering like glass in morning light. Some will strike a rock and burst into mist, returning at once to the air. Each drop fulfills its purpose quietly, without instruction, without witness, and then, just as quietly, it continues on. The water that makes up the rain is unimaginably old, yet it always feels new. It cleanses, cools, and renews whatever it touches. When rain falls on dry earth, the soil drinks deeply, releasing the scent of petrichor, that earthy perfume that drifts upward after a long drought. It is the smell of life returning, of microbes awakening, of dust meeting water for the first time in weeks or years. That scent connects you to everything that depends on the rain. The roots beneath your feet, the moss clinging to stone, the rivers beginning to swell. In those moments, it is easy to forget that this same water once coursed through oceans, clouds, and perhaps even the breath of other creatures. The rain is not simply weather, it is a reunion. When a drop of rain reaches the ground, its path diverges into endless possibilities. Some drops seep downward, joining underground streams that move slowly through layers of rock, filtered by time itself. It may take years, even centuries, for that water to resurface as a spring or well. Other drops run freely across the land, joining brooks and creeks that merge into rivers. These rivers, shimmering with light and life, carve their way back to the ocean, carrying soil, minerals, and memories with them. Every river is a road home for rain, returning it to the sea that first gave it rise. The journey never truly ends. It only changes shape. Even when the rain freezes into snow or ice, its story continues. Trapped within glaciers or the polar caps, water can sleep for tens of thousands of years. In the layers of ancient ice, scientists have found tiny bubbles of air, perfect, silent records of the planet's past. Inside them are the breaths of forests long vanished, the exhalations of creatures that no longer walk the earth. When those glaciers melt, that air is released once more, joining the same atmosphere you breathe. The water that melts from the ice may fall again as rain thousands of miles away. The cycle continues, unbroken, patient, eternal. There is a kind of mercy in water's memory. No matter how many times it changes form, vapor, liquid, solid, it never disappears. It is the perfect traveler, adapting to every landscape, every temperature, every sky. It flows through everything and binds all living things together. The water that falls as rain today might one day rise again as mist above a mountain lake, or return as the tears of a mother, or glimmer in the scales of a fish. It is the same water that filled the lungs of whales, the same that nourished the roots of ancient trees, the same that cooled the first rocks of a newborn earth. Every living being shares this inheritance, passing it along in an endless act of renewal. To feel the rain, then, is to be touched by something infinite. You are feeling the same water that once touched the stars, for even the comets that cross the solar system are full of frozen water, remnants of the early universe. Some scientists believe that much of Earth's water arrived from those celestial messengers, carried by impacts billions of years ago. If that is true, then every drop of rain is a fragment of starlight returned to Earth, the cosmos falling softly from the sky. The next time you stand beneath a storm, imagine that. The universe gently washing over you, the atoms of distant worlds touching your skin. And when the rain stops, when the clouds drift away, and the air smells of freshness and renewal, the journey continues unseen. The moisture rises again, lifted by warmth, beginning its path anew. The puddles that reflect the sky will vanish by morning, but their water will not be lost. It will travel again, seeking balance, seeking gravity, seeking home. The raindrops remember. They remember the seas they came from, the rivers they shaped, the glaciers they became. They remember the warmth of the sun, the darkness of the deep, the stillness of frozen time. And as they fall again and again, they remind the world that nothing truly ends. Everything returns, transformed yet familiar, ancient yet always new. So tonight, if you hear the sound of rain outside your window, let it lull you into stillness. Each drop is a heartbeat of the planet, a whisper of ages past. The rain does not fall merely from the sky, it falls through history, through you, through every life that has ever touched water. It is the planet's gentle way of remembering itself. And as you drift toward sleep, know that you are part of that remembrance, a single breath, a single drop in the endless rain of time. 6. Coral reefs are living cities, far beneath the shimmering skin of the ocean, where sunlight scatters into ribbons of gold and blue. Entire cities are alive and breathing. They have no streets or towers, no people or machines, yet they pulse with purpose and harmony. These are coral reefs, living cathedrals of color and motion, built not by architects, but by countless tiny creatures working together in quiet perfection. From a distance, they look like stone, still and unmoving, but that stillness is an illusion. A coral reef is alive in every inch, every color, every breath of current that drifts across it. It is the ocean's memory of light, turned to living form. A coral is not a single being, but a colony, thousands of tiny polyps, soft-bodied animals no larger than the tip of a finger, living together within a shared skeleton of limestone. Each one builds upon the work of the last, secreting minerals drawn from seawater, layer upon layer, generation after generation. Over centuries, these quiet builders raise immense structures, vast enough to be seen from space, delicate enough to shatter at a careless touch. What begins as a single creature becomes an ecosystem, a world within a world. To look at a coral reef is to see time made visible, every ridge and hollow a story written in calcium and sunlight. These small creatures owe their brilliance to a hidden partnership. Inside their tissues live microscopic algae called zooxanthellae, so tiny they can't be seen without magnification. The algae use sunlight to create energy through photosynthesis, sharing their nourishment with the coral in return for shelter and safety. It is a perfect symbiosis, one life feeding another, both dependent and complete. The algae give the corals their vivid hues, blues, greens, pinks, and golds that glow like light caught in crystal. When the sun passes overhead, the reef becomes a kaleidoscope that shifts with every flicker of the waves, every heartbeat of the sea. Within these living structures, life flourishes in impossible abundance. Thousands of species find food and shelter among the branches and caverns. Fish of every color weave through coral corridors like birds through forests. Sea turtles rest in shaded hollows, their shells brushed by darting cleaner fish. Shrimp and crabs move among the crevices, their tiny claws tending to the coral, cleaning away debris. Even the smallest creatures, plankton, worms, and larvae, invisible to the eye, contribute to the balance of the reef, feeding the larger life that depends on them. Every shape, every motion, every shimmer of color plays a part in the living equation that has taken millions of years to perfect. In the gentle sway of the water, this underwater metropolis hums with constant motion. It is a city that never sleeps, where energy flows not through wires or roads, but through currents of light and chemistry. Some fish are gardeners, trimming the algae that might otherwise smother the coral. Others are engineers, digging burrows or moving sand to shape new habitats. Predators and prey maintain equilibrium, each keeping the other from excess. When one species falters, the rhythm changes. When balance returns, the harmony resumes. The reef is not only a home, but a living expression of interdependence, proof that the greatest strength lies in cooperation. And yet, for all its beauty, a coral reef is fragile. The balance that sustains it can be disrupted by the smallest shift in temperature or chemistry. When the water grows too warm, the algae that give coral its color begin to flee, leaving behind pale skeletons that seem to glow with ghostly light. This process, called bleaching, is the coral's silent cry for help, not death, but distress. If conditions return to normal, life can recover. If not, the reef begins to fade, its living heart turning to stone. Scientists call coral reefs the rainforests of the Cart Sea, for they support a quarter of all marine species. When a reef dies, an entire world diminishes with it. Still, there is resilience in their story. Even after storms, even after years of damage, new coral can grow upon the bones of the old. Tiny larvae drift with the currents until they find a surface to cling to, a fragment of rock, a shell, or another coral's skeleton. There they begin again, building upward toward the light. This patience is the essence of the reef's endurance. It does not rush. It simply continues, trusting the rhythm of the ocean and the constancy of time. To exist in such a world is to know that creation and loss are inseparable, that every collapse is the beginning of renewal. The sounds of a coral reef are not silent either. If you could listen beneath the water, you would hear a gentle symphony, the crackle of snapping shrimp, the hum of fish, the faint rustle of sand. These sounds guide young fish back home after they hatch, calling them through the water like a beacon. The reef sings its location through vibration and echo, telling the sea where life still thrives. Even the silence after a storm has meaning. It is the pause before the song begins again. At night, the reef transforms. Under the glow of the moon, many corals unfurl their delicate tentacles, feeding on drifting plankton that rise from the depths. Bioluminescent creatures blink like stars underwater, pulsing green and blue among the shadows. Crabs scuttle across the sand. Octopuses change color as they glide through coral labyrinths, and the entire reef breathes in unison with the tides. This nocturnal world feels like another dimension, familiar yet dreamlike, as if the sea itself were exhaling the memories of the day. In the dark, the coral's faint fluorescence glows softly, a light born not of fire, but of biology, a reminder that even in the deepest quiet, life shines. The coral reef is not a monument, but a process, a continuous act of creation. It reminds us that strength is not hardness, but persistence, that beauty can arise from the smallest of lives working together. Every ridge of coral is the product of cooperation, every color a result of partnership. The reef's existence shows that survival does not belong to the solitary, but to the interconnected, to those who give and receive, who depend and share. It is a lesson the ocean repeats endlessly beneath every wave. Nothing in nature lives alone. If you ever find yourself diving among corals, floating weightless in their slow dance of color and light, you may feel something awaken in you, not excitement, but peace. The reef moves to a rhythm so steady, so ancient, that your own heartbeat begins to slow in sympathy. In that silence, you will understand that life, in its truest form, is not loud or hurried. It is built grain by grain, breath by breath, by countless small acts of balance and trust. Even from the surface, when you look out over the turquoise water and see the glimmer of reefs beneath, you are witnessing the ocean's memory of sunlight, captured, transformed, and held in living form. The coral reef is the Earth's way of turning light into architecture, sound into silence, and motion into peace. It is a reminder that beauty need not shout to be eternal. The ocean hums, the corals build, and life continues a living city, breathing softly beneath the waves, forever dreaming in color. 7. Butterflies taste the world with their feet. If you have ever watched a butterfly drift through a garden, you may have noticed that it never seems to hurry. It flutters, pauses, hovers in the light, as if the air itself were its home. But what looks like a dance is also a search, a quiet act of discovery written in color and motion. Each landing, each gentle touch of its slender legs is an act of perception, For a butterfly does not taste the world with its mouth, but with its feet. Every step it takes tells it something. The sweetness of a flower, the safety of a leaf, the promise of life to come. This strange truth reveals how differently the world must appear to such a creature. To a butterfly, taste and touch are one and the same. The bottoms of its feet are lined with tiny sensory hairs, each one capable of detecting the faintest trace of chemicals, sugars in nectar, toxins in leaves, even the subtle scent of the right plant on which to lay its eggs. When a butterfly alights on a surface, it is not resting. It is asking questions. Is this a good place to feed? Is this the right host for my young? Will this leaf sustain a new generation? Every answer comes not through sight, but through the quiet science of contact. The butterfly's feet are its language, its compass, its way of knowing. The world through such senses must be unimaginably rich. We see color and shape, but a butterfly feels chemistry, the invisible flavor of everything it touches. What looks to us like a simple flower is, to the butterfly, a map of hidden signatures. The petals might taste faintly of minerals from the soil. The air might carry the trace of another butterfly's passing. Even the warmth of the sun changes the flavor of the world beneath its feet. Where we see a field, it senses an orchestra of possibilities, every blade of grass singing its own silent note of information. Butterflies belong to a lineage that has been perfecting this way of knowing for tens of millions of years. Their ancestors emerged long before the first humans, fluttering among the flowering plants of prehistoric forests. Over time, they learned to read the world not only through their vision, which is more intricate than ours, but through the chemistry that lies just beyond our senses. Some butterflies can detect sugar dissolved in water at concentrations so faint they would be imperceptible to almost any other creature. When they touch a flower, their feet tell them instantly if it holds nectar worth sipping, if its sweetness is real or false. Their sense of taste guides every decision they make, from feeding to migration to reproduction. When a female butterfly searches for a place to lay her eggs, she moves carefully from leaf to leaf, tapping each one gently with her feet. To us, it may look like hesitation or indecision, but it is precision, a sensory dialogue between creature and plant. Her legs taste the chemical makeup of the leaf, identifying whether it belongs to the right species. Many butterflies will lay eggs only on a single kind of plant, one that their caterpillars can eat when they hatch. If she chooses incorrectly, her young will not survive, but her senses rarely fail her. Through these quiet touches, she ensures the continuation of her lineage. She moves through the world as both scientist and guardian, guided by the language written on the surface of every leaf. This intimate connection between butterfly and plant is part of a larger pattern, the endless exchange between life and life. Flowers have evolved colors and shapes that attract butterflies, and butterflies have evolved senses finely tuned to those invitations. Their feet, like instruments, interpret these cues, tasting the nectar that flowers offer and carrying pollen from one blossom to another. Together, they sustain each other, weaving beauty and function into a single motion. The fluttering of wings, the brush of legs against petals, the soft exchange of pollen, all of it forms part of the planet's quiet symphony of renewal. Even the act of flight is part of this gentle rhythm. Butterflies are not strong flyers like birds or bees. Their wings are delicate, their motion unhurried. They drift on the breeze, letting the air carry them wherever it pleases. Each movement seems improvised, yet it follows the flow of wind and light with perfect instinct. The same legs that taste the ground also sense the weight of air and the subtle pressure of lift. Every landing is measured, every takeoff a whisper. To watch a butterfly is to see stillness and motion coexist, a life lived entirely within the present moment. There is a fragility to their beauty, but also a deep resilience. Though their wings appear paper-thin, butterflies migrate across entire continents, guided by an inner compass that remains one of nature's quiet mysteries. The monarch butterfly, for example, travels thousands of miles from North America to the mountains of Mexico each year, a journey that spans generations. The individuals that arrive at the end of the migration are not the same ones that began it, yet they find the same forests, the same trees, guided by instincts passed down like memory written in their cells. When they land upon those branches after months of travel, their feet again taste the familiar flavor of home. To think of the world through a butterfly's senses is to realize how much we miss. Where we see surfaces, they sense relationships. Where we see stillness, they find conversation. The butterfly's contact with the world is intimate and immediate. There is no distance between observer and observed, no barrier between life and its surroundings. It tastes what it touches, and through that act, becomes part of everything it encounters. In that way, the butterfly reminds us that knowing the world is not only about seeing or naming it, but about touching it gently, with awareness and care. The patterns on a butterfly's wings, those mosaics of color and light, are themselves a kind of story. They warn predators, attract mates, and reflect ultraviolet signals invisible to human eyes. But even these colors are shaped by interaction. They are built from microscopic scales that bend light in precise ways, producing iridescence that changes with every angle. To other butterflies, these colors carry meaning: a flash of recognition, a subtle communication written in motion. The air itself becomes a medium for their language, just as the ground is for their taste. Every sense is part of a continuum, connecting them completely to the world they inhabit. When a butterfly rests on your hand or arm, it is not seeking you out for curiosity or affection. It is tasting you. The salt of your skin, the trace minerals carried by your sweat, all become messages it can read. For a moment, you become part of its world, another surface in the endless landscape of chemistry and connection. And when it lifts away, it takes with it a faint memory of your presence, just as you are left with a memory of its light touch. That exchange, however brief, is a reminder that life is not separate, that we are all participants in the same delicate conversation between air, earth, and being. The butterfly's world is one of constant transformation. It begins as an egg, becomes a caterpillar that eats and grows, then weaves a chrysalis around itself and dissolves into something formless before emerging as a creature of air and color. Its senses, its purpose, its very form, all change. Yet through every stage, one truth remains. It touches the world and is changed by it. It is the simplest, most beautiful act: contact and transformation, repetition and renewal. When you next see a butterfly drift past, remember that it is not just wandering aimlessly. It is reading the invisible text of the world, tasting its way through the air, interpreting what cannot be seen. Each landing, each flutter, is a conversation between life and its surroundings. It reminds us that the smallest gestures, a touch, a breath, a pause, can contain entire universes of meaning. And in its gentle, fleeting passage, the butterfly carries a message that the world itself seems to whisper: that to live is to sense, to feel, and to connect one delicate step at a time. 8. Earth's seasons are cosmic poetry. If you have ever felt the air change, that subtle shift in scent and light, when one season begins to give way to another, you have felt the turning of the earth made visible. The world tilts gently on its axis, and in that simple motion, everything changes. The angle of sunlight, the rhythm of rain, the migration of birds, the quiet chemistry inside a seed, all of it responds to this cosmic lean. The seasons are not just time passing, they are the planet breathing through temperature and color, through growth and rest, through light and shadow. To live on Earth is to live inside a poem, written by motion, a verse that repeats endlessly, yet never quite the same. Our planet does not orbit the sun upright. It leans at an angle of about 23.5 degrees, a delicate tilt that might seem small, yet it is the reason we have winter and summer, dawns and dusks, renewal and decay. Without this angle, every day would be the same. The equator locked in eternal heat, the poles in unbroken cold. But because of that tilt, sunlight is unevenly shared, shifting slowly from one hemisphere to the other. When the north leans toward the sun, warmth floods the land and plants awaken. When it leans away, the light softens and life turns inward. This is the cosmic choreography that governs all living things, the quiet dance between the sun's fire and the earth's patience. It is easy to forget that this rhythm is celestial. We feel it as local: a chill morning, a longer day, the smell of flowers or frost. Yet these sensations are the surface ripples of something vast. As the planet circles the sun, its tilt keeps one hemisphere bathed in light while the other rests in shadow. The result is not a conflict, but a conversation, a slow exchange of energy, like a pendulum swinging through space. Spring rises in one half of the world even as autumn descends in the other. The balance between them never wavers. While you feel the first warmth of a new season, somewhere else, snow is falling gently, and another life is preparing for sleep. The symmetry of it all is almost too beautiful to comprehend. The Earth's orbit is not a perfect circle, but a gentle ellipse. That slight variation changes the distance between our planet and the sun throughout the year, adding another layer of rhythm to the cosmic poem. When we are closest, the sunlight is slightly stronger. When farthest, slightly softer. Yet the seasons are not born from distance, but from direction. It is not how far we are from the sun that decides the bloom of spring, but how we are turned toward it. This is what makes the seasons both global and intimate. The same sun, experienced differently depending on where you stand. Every place on Earth has its own version of the cycle, its own stanza in the same great verse. In spring, life returns with a kind of quiet urgency. The air fills with new scents, pollen, damp soil, the first leaves unfurling. Seeds that have waited in darkness begin to swell and split, pushing roots downward and stems upward. Light lengthens, and the world wakes. The return of warmth is not sudden. It creeps in softly, as if the earth were stretching after a long rest. In this way, spring is not an event, but an awakening, a reminder that renewal is written into the design of the world. Even after the coldest winter, the tilt of the planet guarantees another dawn. Summer follows as the earth leans fully into the sun's embrace. The light deepens, the air thickens, and life seems to exhale. Forests hum with insects, oceans glitter like mirrors, and even the stones grow warm beneath your feet. Everything is alive with motion and energy. Plants grow quickly, animals raise their young, and rivers run full. Yet beneath the abundance, the slow arc of change continues. Each day, the sun rises a little later, sets a little sooner. The longest day is also the beginning of its decline, a quiet reminder that every fullness contains the seed of rest. When autumn arrives, the light begins to soften, and the air carries a new clarity. Leaves turn gold and red, then drift downward, their slow fall tracing the passage of time. The forests seem to sigh, releasing what they no longer need. Animals gather food and build shelters. The earth itself prepares to rest. Autumn is not simply an ending, it is a letting go, a graceful retreat that allows for renewal. The colors of decay are not the colors of death, but of transformation. In this way, the season teaches balance, that there is beauty not only in growth, but in surrender. Winter brings silence. The world grows still, wrapped in frost and shadow. Yet even this stillness is alive. Beneath the snow, roots continue their quiet work, and seeds sleep in patience. The air is sharper, clearer, carrying the faint echo of distant stars. In the deep calm of winter, the earth holds its breath, gathering strength for what will come next. The light, though faint, never disappears completely. It lingers at the edges of morning and evening, promising return. Winter, more than any other season, reminds us that rest is not emptiness, it is preparation. The wheel of the year must pause so that it may turn again. This cycle, repeated endlessly, is older than any human memory. Long before there were calendars or clocks, the first people watched the changing light and understood. They built their lives around it, planting, harvesting, migrating, resting all in harmony with the tilt of the planet and the path of the sun. Even now, with cities that shine through the night and machines that heat and cool without regard to season, we are not separate from this rhythm. Our bodies still respond to light and dark, to warmth and cold. Our moods, our sleep, our energy all follow the same pattern that turns the leaves and drives the winds. We are children of this cycle, even when we forget to listen. In every corner of the earth, the seasons write their own verses. In the tropics, the cycle is not one of temperature, but of rain, the heartbeat of wet and dry that brings forests to bloom and rivers to life. In the Arctic, light itself becomes the season. Half a year of day, half a year of night. Even the deserts, where rain is rare, follow the pulse of wind and heat, life blooming in the brief moments when conditions allow. Everywhere, the pattern is the same, a rise and fall, an inhale and exhale, a balance between abundance and rest. To see the world through the seasons is to understand that nothing lasts forever. Not the heat of summer, nor the chill of winter, nor the fleeting beauty of a single blossom. Yet within that impermanence lies comfort. The seasons teach us that endings are not failures, but continuations, that each phase has its place in the whole. The world renews itself through change, and so do we. If you stand outside at twilight, when the sun dips low and the air carries the scent of whatever season you are in, you can feel the motion of the planet beneath your feet. The sky shifts color, the shadows lengthen, and in that gentle transformation, you sense the vastness of what holds you. The tilt of the earth, the pull of the sun, the spinning of space, all of it comes together in that single moment of light and air. The seasons are not just weather, they are proof that the universe moves in harmony and that we are part of that movement. So let each season pass through you as it passes through the world. Feel spring in your breath, summer in your pulse, autumn in your reflection, winter in your rest. The earth is always tilting, always turning, always writing its cosmic poem, and you, in your brief span of life, are one of its verses, unfolding quietly beneath the same eternal sun. 9. Insects hold the world together. If you were to shrink yourself down and walk among the grass, you would find yourself in a world more intricate and alive than any city. Beneath every leaf, between grains of soil, and within the smallest folds of bark, billions of lives are at work. Tiny wings hum through the air, legs scuttle across moss, antennae flicker with unseen communication. This is the realm of insects, the quiet engineers of the planet, the unseen threads that hold the tapestry of life together. They are older than the mountains, more numerous than the stars you can see on a clear night, and more essential than almost any other form of life. Without them, the earth would fall silent. It is difficult to comprehend the scale of their presence. For every human being, there are nearly 200 million insects. They live in deserts and rainforests, mountaintops and cities, in frozen tundra and deep caves. They have been here for nearly 400 million years, surviving the rise and fall of continents, the coming and going of ice ages, the birth and extinction of countless other species. They have seen the world through every form it has taken, and in all that time, they have never ceased working, decomposing, pollinating, building, cleaning, feeding, and sustaining. Every handful of soil holds a small universe of activity. Beetles burrow through the earth, feeding on decaying leaves and turning them into rich humus. Ants carve tunnels that aerate the ground, allowing roots to breathe. Termites, though tiny, move more soil than rivers do, recycling dead wood into nutrients that feed the forest. Even the smallest insect contributes to the planet's metabolism, transforming what has fallen into the foundation for new life. If you could listen closely, you might hear the faint rustle of this hidden work, a whisper of motion beneath the stillness of the surface. Above the ground, another kind of labor unfolds. Bees and butterflies drift between flowers, carrying pollen from one to another, allowing plants to reproduce. This act, so delicate it seems accidental, sustains almost every ecosystem on Earth. The fruit you eat, the seeds that fall, the forests that grow, all depend on these silent travelers. A single bee may visit thousands of flowers in a single day, guided by patterns of light, invisible to human eyes. When it returns to its hive, it communicates with others through a dance, a choreography that tells them where the nectar lies. It is a language made of motion and sunlight, older than words, perfectly efficient. The beauty of insects lies not only in their diversity, but in their design. Each species is a masterpiece of adaptation. Dragonflies, with wings so thin they seem made of air, can hover in place or fly backward. They have eyes that see almost 300 degrees around them, capable of tracking prey with impossible precision. Beetles wear armor stronger than steel for their size, their bodies polished into mirrors of metallic green and blue. Fireflies carry light inside them, small lanterns powered by chemistry that wastes no energy, glowing purely for communication and love. Even the humblest ant, no larger than a grain of sand, possesses strength enough to lift objects many times its own weight, and intelligence enough to build vast colonies with complex social systems. Each is a miracle of form meeting purpose. To the forest, the meadow, and even the air itself, insects are what blood is to the body, the constant circulation that keeps everything alive. They are messengers of transformation. The butterfly that drinks nectar today began as a caterpillar crawling among leaves, and before that, as an egg no larger than a seed of dust. In its cocoon, it dissolves completely before reshaping itself into something new. The transformation is so complete that the butterfly retains no memory of its old form, yet it carries within its wings the same life, the same spark. In this way, insects are living symbols of renewal of the truth, that nothing in nature is ever wasted, only changed. Yet their work often goes unseen. Humans, standing tall above the grass, rarely notice the small movements that keep the world running. We step across the soil without realizing that beneath our feet, entire civilizations of ants are at work. We walk past flowers without seeing the intricate exchange of pollen that will feed birds, animals, and ourselves. The quietness of their labor makes it easy to forget that they are there, but if they were to vanish, the silence would be devastating. Without insects, most plants would fail to reproduce. Without plants, herbivores would starve. Without them, the predators that rely on them would fade as well. In a matter of years, the intricate web of life would begin to unravel. The balance that has taken eons to form would collapse. The Earth's smallest beings are its greatest caretakers. They recycle what dies so that it can live again. They break down leaves, wood, and waste, returning nutrients to the soil. They carry the seeds of plants to new places. They feed the fish in streams, the birds in the air, the mammals in forests. Their work never ends. Even in the deepest winter, beneath the frozen ground, insect life continues, larvae sleeping, pupae waiting, adults moving in, slow hibernation, dreaming in the dark. When spring returns, they emerge again, as if in response to a silent signal from the earth itself, resuming the endless rhythm of work that sustains the planet. Insects also remind us that beauty is not reserved for the large or the rare. It exists in the shimmer of a beetle's shell, in the geometry of a wasp's nest, in the lacework of a dragonfly's wing. To observe them closely is to glimpse a world of precision and wonder. Their movements are deliberate, their designs perfect. Each species carries an intelligence of form not thought as we know it, but instinct honed by millions of years of quiet experimentation. The shapes of their bodies are not accidents, but solutions, refined through time's patient hand. There is poetry in their brevity as well. Many insects live only for days or weeks, yet in that time, they fulfill their purpose completely. A mayfly spends most of its life underwater as a larva, only to emerge, dance, and die. Within a single day, its final act, a celebration of existence itself. Cicadas sleep beneath the soil for years, waiting in silence before rising into the world to fill the air with their songs. Their voices are not mournful but joyful, a chorus of life announcing that time itself is circular. They remind us that duration does not measure importance. Even the briefest life can hold immeasurable meaning. At night, when the world quiets, the work of insects continues. Moths drift through the darkness, guided by moonlight, pollinating the flowers that bloom only after sunset. Crickets sing in the grass, their music marking the temperature of the air. The sound of their chirping is the sound of continuity, a reassurance that the world still breathes. Even as humans sleep, these small lives labor in endless cycles of creation and renewal. Their purpose is simply to live, to feed, to transform, to become part of something greater. The more we learn about them, the more they seem to embody the earth's quiet wisdom, that strength lies not in dominance, but in harmony, that life thrives not through conquest, but through cooperation. The next time you pause in a field or garden, look closely. Watch how the air shimmers with movement, how each tiny being plays its part. Beneath your feet and before your eyes, the planet's smallest architects are at work, building the world one grain of soil, one petal, one breath at a time. Insects do not just inhabit the earth, they hold it together, unseen, tireless, and eternal. And in their humble persistence, they remind us that even the smallest lives can carry the weight of the world. 10. The moon keeps the world in balance. When night falls and the world softens into silver, the moon rises, quiet and eternal. It moves across the sky without sound, reflecting the light of the sun as though holding a lantern for the sleeping earth. To most of us, it is a companion of dreams, something to look up at, to wish upon, to measure the passing of time. Yet beyond its beauty, the moon is something deeper. It is balance itself, the silent hand that steadies the earth as it spins through the dark. Without the moon, the seas would lose their rhythm, the seasons would stumble, and the world as we know it would unravel. The moon is not just a light in the sky, it is the reason that life has learned to move in harmony. Long ago, when the planet was young, there was no moon. The earth was a raw, molten sphere, still shaping itself, its surface shifting with fire and storm. Then, one day, something vast struck it, a collision so great it nearly tore the world apart. From that impact, a spray of molten rock and dust rose into space, circling the planet in glowing fragments. Over time, those fragments gathered together, drawn by gravity's patient hand, until they became a single body, moon. It was born of violence, yet it brought with it calm. In the wake of that chaos, balance emerged. And from that balance, life would someday grow. From the moment of its birth, the moon began shaping the planet. Its gravity pulled on the oceans, drawing water upward into great bulges that moved with its orbit. As the Earth spun beneath, those bulges became the tides, rising and falling in endless cycles. The sea breathes because of the moon. Every wave that touches the shore is a reflection of its invisible pull. Twice each day, the ocean inhales and exhales, its rhythm syncing with the orbit of that distant companion. The tides sweep across the world, stirring the shallows, nourishing coral reefs, mixing nutrients that feed the smallest plankton and, in turn, the largest whales. In this way, the moon feeds the Earth. It keeps the water moving, the life cycling, the boundaries between land and sea alive. But its work goes deeper still. The moon steadies the planet itself. Without it, the Earth would wobble unpredictably on its axis, its tilt shifting wildly over millennia. The seasons would lose their pattern. Ice might reach the equator one age and retreat entirely the next. The delicate balance of warmth and cold that allows life to flourish would be broken. The moon's gravity anchors that tilt, keeping it at just the right angle, not too steep, not too shallow. This stability has allowed life to evolve slowly, peacefully, adapting to rhythms that are reliable. Every leaf that turns towards spring, every animal that migrates with the seasons, every pattern of growth and rest owes its consistency to the moon's steadying hand. Even time itself has been marked by its presence. Before humans understood the planets or named the stars, they watched the moon. Its cycle of phases from crescent to full to darkness again became the first calendar. Ancient people looked upward and saw in its waxing and waning the passage of weeks and months. They built rituals around it, measured harvests and births by its light. It governed tides, fertility, migration, and emotion. It was a clock not of numbers, but of light and shadow. Even now, though we have clocks that count the smallest seconds, something inside us still responds to the lunar rhythm. Many animals still breed, feed, or sing in time with its phases. The moon continues to mark the heartbeat of the planet, as it has for billions of years. At night, when the world rests, the moon shines over forests and seas alike, binding them in a shared light. In the ocean, some corals spawn only under a full moon, releasing their eggs and sperm into the water in perfect unison, as though responding to a signal written in the stars. On land, night-blooming flowers open their petals to its glow. Their pale colors evolve to reflect lunar light and attract nocturnal pollinators. Even the tides of the air, subtle changes in temperature and wind follow its rhythm. The moon's gravity, though faint compared to that of the sun, extends beyond the seas. It touches every molecule, every mountain, every living thing, pulling gently, endlessly, reminding all matter of its place in the grand motion. The bond between the Earth and the moon is one of mutual care. The moon circles our planet at just the right distance, close enough to influence, far enough to endure. Yet the relationship is not still. Every year, the moon drifts a little farther away, about 4 centimeters, the slow expansion of a dance billions of years long. As it moves outward, the Earth's rotation gradually slows. Our days grow imperceptibly longer, our nights more lingering. Millions of years from now, the moon will hang slightly smaller in the sky, the tides gentler, the Earth's spin more measured. But even then, its influence will remain. It has become part of who we are, not a visitor, but a constant companion, born from the same matter, sharing the same fate. The light of the moon is a reflection, not its own. Sunlight strikes its surface and bounces back, softened and silvered. Yet in that reflection, something magical happens. The harshness of day becomes gentle, The brilliance of the sun turns tender. Shadows grow long and soft. Colors fade into hues of blue and gray. And the world feels larger, quieter, more dreamlike. The moon does not burn, it soothes. Its light has no heat, only calm. It invites stillness, contemplation, sleep. To walk beneath it is to be reminded that illumination need not be blinding. There is a gentler kind of brightness, one that comforts rather than commands. Even its phases tell a story of balance, of presence and absence, of change and return. The waxing moon grows night by night, each curve a promise of fullness. Then, at its peak, it begins to wane, surrendering its light back to the dark. Yet even in its disappearance, it does not vanish. It merely hides, waiting to begin again. In this cycle, the moon teaches a quiet truth that nothing lasts, yet nothing is ever lost. Every beginning carries its own ending. Every shadow contains the seed of light. The moon's changing face is a mirror for the earth itself, a reflection of all that comes and goes, all that fades and returns. There is a reason the moon has inspired poets, dreamers, and lovers across time. Its presence is constant, but never the same. It rises over mountains, oceans, deserts, and cities, watching without judgment. It has seen the first fires of humankind and the glow of distant satellites. It has witnessed every age of the earth, from the birth of oceans to the breath of the first life. Its silence carries the memory of everything. When you look at the moon, you are looking at your own past. The same light that shone on ancient creatures and early civilizations now falls upon your face. The connection is immediate and eternal. So tonight, when the sky clears and the moon hangs above you, take a moment to feel its pull. You are part of its gravity, part of its rhythm. The tides that move the seas also move within you, in your heartbeat, in your breath, in the slow waves of your thoughts. You are a creature of this balance, shaped by a dance that began long before you were born. The moon keeps the world steady, but it also keeps us steady, reminding us that peace is not the absence of motion, but the harmony of motion itself. The moon keeps its vigil, the earth continues to turn, and together they move through the dark with quiet grace, the cosmic balance that allows all life to dream. 11. Ice floats because it's kind. Some of the planet's greatest kindnesses are quiet, invisible, and taken for granted. One of them lies within the simplest thing, the way ice behaves upon water. When a lake freezes, the coldest layer rises to the top, forming a thin, hard skin of crystal. Beneath it, the water remains liquid, dark, and alive. Fish drift slowly below the frozen surface. Roots still drink from the sediment, and life endures through the long silence of winter. This gentle inversion, where the solid floats above instead of sinking beneath, is one of the most generous miracles on Earth. Ice floats because it is kind, and in that kindness, life finds safety, rest, and continuity. It did not have to be this way. Most substances, when they freeze, grow heavier. The molecules pack themselves tightly together, losing space and sinking downward. Water is different. When it cools, its molecules slow down and draw closer. But at the moment it begins to freeze, something remarkable happens. The molecules arrange themselves into a crystal lattice, a repeating pattern full of open space. These tiny gaps make ice less dense than the liquid it comes from. And so, instead of falling, it rises. This small act of buoyancy carries vast consequence. Because ice floats, oceans do not freeze solid. Because ice floats, spring always returns. If you stand beside a frozen lake, what you see is balance in its most fragile form. The surface, gleaming and pale beneath the low sun, hides a world that continues. Beneath that sheet, water moves slowly, currents whispering, fish sleeping in stillness. The ice above acts as a shield, reflecting the cold air, protecting the warmth below. In the depth of winter, it becomes a roof for life. It is thin, temporary, and yet it sustains everything beneath it. When the sun returns and the air softens, the ice melts, returning quietly to the lake, its purpose fulfilled. It never resists its transformation. It comes and goes in rhythm with the light. This delicate dance between water and ice shapes entire ecosystems. In polar regions, sheets of sea ice expand and retreat with the seasons. These frozen plains are not barren, they are nurseries. Tiny algae bloom inside the cracks and beneath the surface, feeding microscopic creatures that in turn feed fish, seals, whales, and birds. The floating ice becomes both shelter and sustenance. Its edges break and drift, carrying nutrients across the sea. When it melts in the sunlight, it releases the life it has nurtured back into the open water. Even in its coldness, it gives warmth to the world. Water's kindness extends far beyond ice. It is a substance defined by contradiction, soft yet powerful, yielding yet persistent. When it freezes, it expands, pressing gently against stone until mountains crack and valleys form. Over millennia, this quiet pressure shapes the planet. Ice carves fjords, sculpts glaciers, and carries dust and minerals across continents. When it melts, it leaves behind soil rich enough to sustain forests. It is both creator and destroyer, patient and unstoppable. The kindness of ice is not weakness. It is resilience expressed in stillness. In the high latitudes, ice forms landscapes that appear eternal. Yet even the largest glacier is alive in its own slow way. It moves, flowing almost imperceptibly toward the sea, groaning and whispering as it slides over rock. Within its body, air bubbles from ancient skies remain trapped, tiny time capsules preserving the breath of ages past. Scientists who study them can read these frozen memories, discovering the history of Earth's atmosphere, its warmth and chill, its balance and imbalance. In this way, ice becomes the planet's archive, a record of its long, patient breathing. At night, when the temperature falls and frost spreads across windows and fields, you can see this same miracle on a smaller scale. Thin patterns of crystal bloom upon glass, branching like trees, spiraling like feathers. Each one forms spontaneously, yet no two are alike. The frost writes its language in silence, using geometry as ink. It vanishes with the first warmth of day, leaving behind nothing but the faint memory of beauty. For a few hours, though, the world is covered in delicate art, a reminder that even cold can be creative, that even the simplest change of state can become poetry. Ice and water are always in dialogue. One melts into the other, one solidifies from the other, neither resisting the transformation. This willingness to change is what keeps the planet alive. Rivers freeze and thaw, rain turns to snow and back again, clouds form and dissolve, all part of one continuous conversation between states. The same water that drips from an icicle in spring may one day form part of a glacier, or rise into a storm, or fall again as gentle snow. Every flake that lands on your hand is ancient, a returning traveler, a tiny fragment of the world's memory. If ice sank instead of floated, the world would be a colder, emptier place. In winter, lakes would freeze from the bottom up, trapping life beneath layers of solid water. Oceans might lock into stillness, their surfaces buried beneath endless ice. The planet would lose its rhythm of thaw and bloom. Evolution itself would have been different, perhaps impossible. But water chose kindness. It chose to rise instead of fall, to shelter instead of smother. That simple molecular decision, that lightness born from openness, is the reason life persists through every winter. When the sun shines through ice, it becomes translucent, glowing softly from within. It filters light into blues and whites, transforming something as hard as stone into a window. This quality of transparency gives ice its quiet radiance. Glaciers glow from the inside. Icicles sparkle with captured light. Even in its coldness, ice carries warmth, not in temperature, but in presence. It reflects the world around it, while remaining clear, like a meditation frozen in form. Watching a river thaw in spring, you can almost hear the sigh of the planet itself, relief and renewal melting into motion. There is something profoundly gentle in the way water moves between its states. It never struggles, never clings. It simply transforms, accepting whatever shape the world asks of it. As liquid, it adapts. As vapor, it ascends. As ice, it rests. It embodies the deepest truth of balance, that change is not loss, and stillness is not death. To see a frozen lake glint beneath the winter sun is to witness compassion made visible. The ice holds, protects, and then releases, asking for nothing in return. The kindness of ice is mirrored in our own nature. Though we often forget it, we, too, can learn from its quiet strength to protect without imprisoning, to yield without breaking, to rest without fear of melting. The earth has always known this lesson. Every winter it closes its eyes, wrapping itself in cold and silence, trusting the floating ice to guard its sleeping heart. Every spring it awakens, renewed. The cycle continues, delicate, patient, eternal. If you stand on the edge of a frozen pond and listen carefully, you might hear faint pops and sighs echoing beneath the surface, the voice of ice shifting as it breathes. It is the sound of balance, of creation and release, of matter remembering its gentleness. The world depends on such small acts of grace. Ice floats because it is kind, and in that kindness lies the secret of life itself, that even in the coldest silence, warmth endures. 12. Birds navigate by the invisible. Each year, when the air cools and the light begins to tilt toward gold, the sky fills with travelers. Across continents and oceans, birds take flight, following ancient routes that cross mountain ranges, deserts, and seas. Some will journey thousands of miles, from the Arctic to the southernmost reaches of the world, and then return again with the spring. Their wings trace invisible highways across the air, unseen to us yet precise as a map drawn in light. They travel by the unseen, guided by forces we cannot touch, by senses beyond our understanding. Their navigation is not guesswork. It is the planet itself whispering directions to them, and they, in their quiet trust, follow. From the smallest songbird to the great albatross, migration is one of Earth's most miraculous symphonies. Birds leave their breeding grounds with no hesitation, knowing exactly when to go and where to arrive. They wait for the length of day to shift, for the subtle change in temperature and the scent of wind that signals it is time. They rise into the air not with uncertainty, but with purpose. To them, the sky is not empty. It is alive with cues, with threads of magnetic energy, with the pull of the sun and stars. They move through this invisible web as if it were written beneath their wings, carrying the memory of a journey older than their species, older, perhaps, than thought itself. For many birds, the key to this guidance lies in the Earth's own magnetism. The planet is surrounded by a magnetic field, lines of force that stretch from pole to pole, flowing through everything that exists. We cannot see them, but they are always there, steady and quiet, like a hum beneath reality. Birds have evolved a way to feel this field directly, inside their eyes. There are special proteins called cryptochromes, molecules sensitive to magnetism. When light strikes them, they form patterns that change in response to the magnetic lines of the Earth. It is believed that birds can actually see these patterns, not as light or color, but as faint shapes or gradients overlaying their vision. To a migrating bird, the magnetic field may appear like a glowing map across the sky, showing direction as clearly as a compass needle. Imagine what that must be like, to see the world not just in form and light, but in energy, to look up at the stars and also sense the invisible fabric that connects them to the ground beneath your wings. When a bird flies south for the winter, it is not lost in the endless blue. It is following a path older than memory, inscribed into its body. Some scientists think that even tiny bits of magnetite, a natural iron mineral, exist in the tissues around their beaks or brains, giving them another way to feel the planet's pull. Through these subtle tools, birds navigate not by sight alone, but by communion, an intimate connection to the very physics of the world. At night, when the sky turns dark and the stars appear, another guide awakens. Many birds migrate under cover of darkness, using constellations as their compass. Studies have shown that they can learn the layout of the night sky, aligning their flight with the position of the North Star or the band of the Milky Way. Even when clouds hide the heavens, they can sense the polarization of sunlight at twilight, the way light scatters differently depending on direction, and use it to orient themselves. Every aspect of the sky speaks to them. They listen with their whole being. What we see as beauty, a canopy of stars, is to them a living map. The remarkable thing is that many of these birds are not guided by experience alone. Some species migrate for the first time without ever having followed their parents. They simply, within their tiny hearts, a compass spins. Within their eyes, a map waits to be revealed by the light. A young warbler born in a northern forest will one day rise into the air and travel thousands of miles to a place it has never seen, through weather it cannot predict, across continents it cannot imagine, and yet it will arrive precisely where its ancestors have gone for generations. It is instinct shaped by the planet itself, a memory stored not in thought but in the quiet design of life. For those who watch migration from the ground, it can appear almost supernatural. A V formation of geese cutting through the cold air, their calls echoing like the sound of wind made visible. A shorebird crossing entire oceans on wings no larger than a hand, stopping only once to rest. An albatross soaring over waves for weeks at a time, sleeping as it glides, following winds that circle the globe. These feats seem impossible, yet they happen every year in perfect rhythm, as they have for millennia. The sky is their road, and they travel it by the pulse of the invisible. There is an elegance in how birds read their world. They feel air pressure in their bones, the scent of rain on distant winds, the angle of the sun through the atmosphere. Their senses overlap and merge until the boundary between external and internal fades. They do not control the wind, they belong to it. To migrate is not to fight the elements, but to flow with them, trusting that the same forces that guide the stars will guide the wings. They remind us that direction does not always require sight, that sometimes, to find our way, we must simply learn to feel what is already there. Even those birds that do not migrate carry the same inner compass. A robin finding its way back to a familiar tree in spring, a pigeon returning home across a city it has never seen from above, a sparrow aligning its nest to the path of the sun, all are guided by the same unseen hand. The magnetic field, the light of the stars, the rhythm of the Earth's rotation, these are their constants, the quiet laws that whisper through every beating wing. At dawn, when the sky brightens and the world begins to stir, you may see them resting on wires or branches, feathers glinting in the new light. They have traveled farther than any map could measure, yet they appear calm, as if they never doubted where they were going. They do not celebrate arrival. They simply continue, because the journey itself is home. The air that carried them, the currents that lifted them, the unseen forces that steered them, All of it is part of who they are. Their migration is not just movement through space, but through the fabric of existence. There is something deeply peaceful in knowing that such order exists, that the same invisible field that guides a bird across the world also passes through us, connecting everything that lives. The magnetism of the earth, the pull of gravity, the warmth of the sun, these are not abstractions but threads in a single web. We too move within it, though we have forgotten how to listen. If you stand outside at night and feel the cool air on your skin, if you look up and see the stars drifting across the sky, know that above you, unseen, there are wings in motion, tiny hearts beating in rhythm with the planet's pulse, guided by light that has traveled for ages. They are following paths that no human has drawn, responding to signals that need no language. They move not by sight but by trust. Trust in the world's invisible kindness. Trust that the journey will always lead them home. And when morning comes, and the horizon blushes with new light, they will still be there, gliding through the quiet air, their wings cutting across the invisible lines that hold the world together. The birds know what we often forget, that even in the vastness of the unknown, there is guidance everywhere. You just have to listen. 13. Every heartbeat on Earth is connected. If you sit in a quiet room and place your hand over your chest, you will feel it, the steady thrum that has been with you since before you took your first breath. It is a rhythm older than your thoughts, older even than your bones. The heart does not wait for instruction. It simply beats, following the silent pattern that governs all living things. But what is easy to forget, in the solitude of your own body, is that this rhythm does not belong to you alone. The same pulse moves through every creature that has ever lived. The same cadence hums beneath oceans, forests, and skies. Every heartbeat on Earth is connected, part of one immense orchestra that began the moment life first stirred and has never stopped since. It is not only a metaphor. The rhythm of life is truly shared, deep in the cells of every organism. From the smallest microbe to the largest whale, electrical impulses flicker and flow in repeating cycles. In humans, the heart's rhythm emerges from a cluster of specialized cells that send out signals like ripples in water. These signals spread through the heart's tissue, telling muscle fibers when to contract, when to release, when to rest. In a hummingbird, this happens nearly 20 times faster. In a blue whale, nearly 20 times slower. Yet if you could listen closely to the frequency of each pulse, compressing or stretching time until every beat aligned, you would find harmony. The pattern is the same, the timing changes, but the music remains constant. Across species, this rhythm extends beyond the heart. The wings of birds, the breath of mammals, the opening and closing of flowers, all follow cycles that echo each other. The pulse of a whale beneath the ocean's weight matches, in its slow power, the crash of waves upon the shore. The flutter of a bee's wings mirrors the vibration of leaves in a breeze. Even the planet itself keeps time. Its rotation, its tides, its magnetic field all pulse with quiet precision. Life did not create these rhythms. It grew from them, as if the universe composed a song, and everything that exists became an instrument within it. Inside the human body, this connection is mirrored again. When you breathe, your heart responds. As you inhale, the rhythm quickens. As you exhale, it slows. This subtle synchronization is called respiratory sinus arrhythmia, a long name for a simple truth. Your breath and your heartbeat are dancing partners. The same happens when you listen to someone you love or hold another being close. Studies have shown that the heartbeats of people sitting quietly together can fall into sync, their rhythms aligning without effort. A mother's heartbeat can calm a child's. Two strangers sharing silence can find their pulses matching unconsciously. In these moments, the boundary between one life and another fades, and the greater rhythm emerges, the one we all share. The forests have their pulse as well. Tree roots draw water upward in slow, rhythmic surges that peak each day and subside each night. A heartbeat measured not in seconds, but in hours. The opening of stomata, the tiny pores on leaves that breathe in carbon dioxide and exhale oxygen, follows the same rhythm, synchronized with the turning of the earth. The forest inhales as the sun rises, exhales as it sets. The oceans do the same, absorbing and releasing gases, expanding and contracting with the tides. The entire biosphere breathes in unison, one vast living lung. When you take a breath, you are participating in that same motion, exchanging atoms that will soon travel through soil, through leaves, through another pair of lungs somewhere far away. The heart's rhythm is a reflection of this cosmic balance. It accelerates when you move, when you fear, when you love. It slows when you rest, when you sleep, when you are still. Yet even when you are silent, your heart speaks through waves of sound and pressure that ripple through your body, through the air, through the ground beneath you. If one were to listen with instruments sensitive enough, they would hear that even mountains respond faintly to the shifting weight of air, to the vibrations of oceans, to the low hum of the planet's magnetic pulse. We are all part of that continuum. Every beat sends a tremor into the world, however small. Across time, humans have always felt this connection, even before science gave it language. Ancient drummers mimicked the heartbeat in ritual, the steady thumb-thumb of hand against skin, echoing the pulse of life itself. Dancers moved to that rhythm, their bodies swaying in patterns that mirrored the cycles of the earth, tides, seasons, moon phases. In temples and gatherings, people found comfort in synchrony, in the way music and movement aligned their heartbeats into one. To feel that collective rhythm was to remember what we are, not separate lives, but one organism, one great breathing body made of billions of smaller ones. Even now, that truth lives quietly within us. When you walk in nature and feel calm, it is not just emotion, it is resonance. The slow, steady rhythms of wind and water entrain your nervous system, drawing your heart toward their pace. Your breathing lengthens, your pulse steadies, your body remembers. You are aligning with the planet's natural tempo, the one your ancestors lived by long before clocks or deadlines. The calm you feel is not escape, it is reunion. The world and your body are keeping time together again. In the ocean, whales communicate across vast distances through low, haunting calls that can travel for hundreds of miles. These sounds are not just signals, they are pulses of vibration that move through the water like a heartbeat shared between continents. When a whale sings, its voice passes through coral reefs, through schools of fish, through the bones of the earth itself. Another whale, far away, hears and responds, their songs overlapping in waves of resonance. The ocean becomes a choir of living sound, each note blending into a larger symphony. Even the silence between their songs is part of the rhythm, a pause, a breath, a heartbeat waiting to continue. The same is true on land. The buzz of insects, the rustle of leaves, the distant rumble of thunder, all these sounds merge into the background hum of life. Scientists call this the biophony, the collective voice of all living things. It vibrates through forests and plains, shifting with day and night, with heat and rain. When we listen closely, we can hear the world breathing, its heart beating softly beneath the noise of our machines. The more we attune ourselves to it, the more we realize that silence is never truly silent. It is filled with the pulse of existence. When you sit quietly and listen to your own heartbeat, it might seem small compared to the vastness of the earth, but that pulse is part of something immeasurable. The blood moving through your veins carries oxygen that once drifted in the sky, carbon that once lived in plants, hydrogen that was born in stars. Your heart does not beat in isolation. It beats in conversation with oceans, forests, and skies. The same rhythm that moves your blood moves the tides. The same energy that starts your pulse stirs the wind. In that sense, life itself is one long, continuous heartbeat, echoing across time and matter. And perhaps, when you sleep tonight, you might feel that deeper rhythm beneath your own. The earth turning, the moon pulling, the oceans sighing, the forests breathing, all in quiet harmony. Your heart joins theirs, one beat among billions, part of the music that has never ceased. Every life that ever was has contributed a note, a pulse, a vibration to that infinite song. It continues still, steady and patient, carrying us all within its tempo. Every heartbeat on earth is connected not by sound, but by motion, by energy, by shared origin. To live is to join the rhythm. To listen is to remember it. And to love, perhaps, is simply to recognize that every pulse you feel, whether your own or another's, is the universe speaking through you, one steady beat that has always said, in its wordless way, we are one. 14. The soil beneath you is alive, beneath your feet, beneath the roots and stones, beneath the quiet hum of the surface world. There is another world, entirely one that never sleeps. It is easy to think of soil as something still, something dead, merely the ground we walk upon. Yet the truth is that it breathes, it moves, it lives. Every handful of earth contains more living beings than there are people on the planet. Invisible to the naked eye, they weave an endless network of exchange and transformation. The soil beneath you is not a thing. It is a living community, an ancient mind built from billions of small lives working together in perfect silence. Each grain of soil has its own story. Some are the dust of mountains, ground down by ice and rain over millions of years. Others are fragments of leaves, bones, shells, and roots, once alive, now returned to feed the ground. Within this mix, bacteria and fungi thrive, breaking down what has fallen, turning death into nourishment. Tiny threads of fungal filaments stretch outward like strands of thought, connecting one root to another, sharing minerals, sharing messages. Through them, trees can send warnings or sustenance, passing sugars to their kin or distress signals to their neighbors. The forest speaks through the soil, its voice carried in chemistry, its words written in molecules. When you step on the ground, you are touching a vast, hidden civilization. There are tiny nematodes that wriggle through the spaces between grains, protozoa that swim in droplets of moisture, and microscopic arthropods that feed on decaying matter. Earthworms tunnel through the depths, digesting the soil and leaving behind trails rich in nutrients. Their movement keeps the earth aerated, allowing roots to breathe. Each creature, no matter how small, contributes to the balance. They recycle, renew, and sustain, their combined labor forming the base of every ecosystem on Earth. Without them, forests would wither, rivers would silt, and life itself would falter. If you were to shrink yourself small enough to walk among them, the ground would no longer seem solid. It would be a vast landscape of caverns and towers, tunnels and threads, each grain of sand the size of a boulder, each drop of water a shining pond. The air there would hum with quiet activity. Bacteria would cluster like stars in small constellations. Fungi would stretch like highways through the dark, and roots would descend like pillars from above, their tips glistening with life. It would be a city without borders or noise, built entirely from connection and exchange. The smell of fresh soil after rain, that deep, comforting scent, is the fragrance of this hidden life. It comes from a compound called geosmin, produced by bacteria as they turn organic matter into nutrients. When raindrops hit the ground, they release tiny bubbles filled with these molecules, sending the scent into the air. The smell of soil is, in essence, the breath of the planet. To breathe it in is to breathe in the memory of forests, the memory of growth, the cycle of decay and rebirth that sustains everything. It is one of the oldest fragrances on Earth, the perfume of life continuing. The living soil is more than a foundation. It is an intelligence, not in the sense of thought or awareness as we understand it, but in the way it responds, adapts, and communicates. When one part of a forest is stressed by drought or insects, signals travel through the underground web of roots and fungi, prompting other plants to adjust. Nutrients flow toward the weak, resources are redistributed, and balance is maintained. The soil senses change and acts upon it. It is both body and nervous system for the living world above. In this way, the ground beneath us behaves not as inert matter, but as an extension of life's own mind. The thin layer of soil that covers the planet, sometimes only a few centimeters deep, is all that stands between abundance and desolation. It is where seeds germinate, where roots anchor, where water collects and cycles back into the sky. Yet, it is fragile. It can take centuries for a few inches of rich soil to form, but only a few years of neglect to destroy it. When forests are stripped, when the ground is left bare, wind and rain carry the soil away. The skin of the planet thins, and with it, the pulse of life weakens. Every grain lost is a fragment of the Earth's memory blown to dust. Despite its fragility, soil is resilient. It heals when given time. When left undisturbed, it rebuilds itself grain by grain, life returning like breath after silence. Plants reclaim it, roots anchor it, and microbes awaken in its depths. It is the Earth's way of forgiving, of returning balance where it has been broken. Every fallen leaf, every decaying body, every drop of rain contributes to this restoration. The soil takes everything that ends and turns it into beginning. It knows no waste, only transformation. In this way, the ground beneath us mirrors our own inner landscape. Just as the soil holds the memory of everything that has lived, so too do we carry within us the remnants of what came before. The minerals in our blood, the carbon in our bones, the water in our cells all once belonged to the earth. We are walking extensions of the soil, brief expressions of its endless creativity. When we die, we return to it, and through its patient work, we become life again. The boundary between ourselves and the ground is an illusion. We are the soil, dreaming, moving, and remembering. There is humility in this realization. The dirt beneath our feet, often overlooked, is the foundation of everything we eat, build, and breathe. Every forest rises from it. Every field depends upon it. Even the air we inhale, rich with oxygen, owes its existence to the microscopic laborers that live and die in the ground. Without them, the balance of gases would falter, and the world would grow still. The soil holds not only life, but time. It records the passing of ages in its layers, the imprint of every season, every fire, every rain. If you sit quietly and press your palm against the earth, you might feel a faint coolness, a steady calm. That stillness is deceptive. It is not emptiness, but fullness. Beneath your touch, countless lives are unfolding, unseen but tireless. The soil hums with quiet intention. It takes what falls, what ends, what decays, and transforms it into nourishment for what will rise. It is both grave and cradle, ending and beginning, a continuous loop that has never broken. Every time you walk upon the earth, you are walking across the skin of a living being, one that feeds you, shelters you, and carries the memory of everything that has ever been alive. The soil does not ask for praise or protection, yet it deserves both. It is the great, quiet worker. the unseen alchemist of the world. Beneath every step you take, it is breathing. Beneath every forest, it is thinking. Beneath every life, it is waiting, ready to turn endings into beginnings once again. The soil beneath you is alive, and in its quiet, patient way, it has always been your home. 15. Even rocks remember time. If you pick up a stone from the ground and hold it in your hand, it feels silent, cold, and still as though it has nothing to say. Yet that small weight carries more memory than anything else on Earth. Rocks are not lifeless. They are time made solid, witnesses to everything the planet has ever been. Within their grains and layers lies the slow story of the world, written not in words, but in patience. They remember fire and flood, mountain and sea, birth and erosion. They remember the deep pressure of the Earth's heart and the gentle touch of rain. Though they move so slowly that their motion seems invisible, rocks are always changing. Even when they appear still, they are breathing in geological time. Every rock began as something else. Some were born of fire, molten magma rising from the Earth's mantle, cooling into crystals of basalt or granite. Others came from water, formed as sediments settled layer upon layer at the bottom of ancient seas, compressed over millions of years into sandstone, shale, and limestone. Some have lived more than one life, melted and hardened again, transformed by heat and pressure into marble, quartzite, or schist. Each carries the memory of its transformation, its minerals preserving traces of the conditions in which it formed. To hold a rock is to touch the planet's autobiography, a chapter written long before our species had a name. The Earth itself is built upon these memories. Beneath the soil, beneath the roots and rivers, stretches the crust, a vast mosaic of shifting plates that drift slowly atop a sea of molten rock. These tectonic plates move only a few centimeters each year, but over eons they have carried continents across the globe, collided to raise mountains, and drifted apart to form oceans. When two plates meet, the pressure folds stone like fabric, lifting peaks toward the sky. When they separate, magma rises to fill the gap, creating new land. The Himalayas, the Andes, the Alps, all are expressions of this slow, relentless motion. The mountains we see are only the latest verse in an endless song of rising and falling. Within each mountain lies the record of its making. If you could read the lines of rock the way you read the lines of a book, you would see eras unfold. A layer of sandstone might tell of a time when deserts stretched across what is now ocean. A band of limestone might speak of coral reefs that thrived in warm, shallow waters hundreds of millions of years ago. The color of iron-rich layers recalls the oxygenation of the early atmosphere. The presence of certain crystals marks the temperature and depth of their birth. Every fold, every fault, every vein of quartz is a word in the language of time. The earth writes slowly, but it never forgets. Even the smallest pebble carries this story. A smooth stone worn by a river may have begun its life as part of a towering cliff. Over centuries, rain and frost fractured it. Streams carried it downstream, and time polished it round. The river's current shaped its surface, leaving the memory of its journey etched in its curves. To the river, the stone is not inert, but alive, a participant in its endless cycle of erosion and renewal. When you skip a stone across a pond, it is not only water that ripples, time itself moves with it, whispering across the surface before sinking once more into stillness. Some rocks hold memories older than the continents. In the oldest places on Earth, the cratons of Canada, Australia, and Africa, geologists have found minerals nearly 4.5 billion years old, remnants of the planet's birth. These ancient crystals, like tiny clocks, record the temperatures, pressures, and chemistry of the early Earth. They have outlasted mountains, oceans, and perhaps entire worlds. They are the planet's oldest memory, unchanged, while everything around them has risen and crumbled countless times. To look at one through a microscope is to see the reflection of a world that no longer exists, a young Earth glowing with molten light. Rocks also remember catastrophe. Within certain layers, a thin band of iridium marks the day an asteroid struck the planet 66 million years ago, ending the reign of the dinosaurs. Elsewhere, layers of volcanic ash record ancient eruptions that darkened skies and altered climates. Each event leaves its trace, compressed and buried, waiting to be read. The planet carries its scars the way a tree carries rings, reminders of what it has endured, what it has become. The beauty of stone lies in its honesty. It records everything, hides nothing, and keeps no secrets from those patient enough to listen. Though their pace is slow, rocks do change. Rain, wind, and ice grind them down. Rivers carry their dust to the sea. In the deep ocean, that dust settles once more, beginning the cycle again. Over unimaginable spans of time, what was once a mountain becomes sediment, and what was once sediment becomes mountain again. The rock cycle is the Earth's heartbeat, pulsing over millions of years. It is too vast for human senses to perceive, yet it shapes every landscape we know. The cliffs, the beaches, the canyons, all are brief gestures in the endless sculpting of stone. We are bound to this rhythm more than we realize. The minerals that make up rocks, calcium, iron, magnesium, phosphorus, are the same elements that build our bones and blood. They were drawn from the stone by plants and passed through food and water into us. When you touch a rock, you are touching a relative, a fragment of yourself in a different form. We are not separate from the mountains and valleys. We are made of them. The same atoms that slept in granite now live in our cells, still carrying the memory of their geological past. Even sound reveals their story. When wind moves through a canyon or waves crash upon a cliff, the tones that echo are shaped by the rock's density and age. The low, resonant hum of stone is the earth speaking in its oldest voice. Some say that in the silence of caves or deserts, you can almost feel time pressing against you, not as weight, but as presence. It is the awareness that every surface, every fragment of the world beneath your feet, has existed for eons before you and will continue long after. Rocks remind us that permanence and impermanence are not opposites. They are partners in the same slow dance. If you place a stone on your palm and sit quietly, you may sense its calm. It asks for nothing, moves for no one, yet its being radiates patience. It is the essence of stillness, yet it contains the memory of movement, of molten fire, of pressure, of transformation. The stone you hold may once have been mountain, magma, dust, or seabed. It has traveled farther through time than you ever will through space. And though it does not speak, it tells you something vital, that change is constant, that endurance is gentle, that time is not an enemy, but a sculptor. The rocks remember what we forget, that everything is always becoming something else, that form is temporary, but essence endures. They teach us that patience is not waiting, it is existing in rhythm with eternity. When rain falls on a boulder, when moss spreads across its surface, when it slowly returns to dust, the rock does not mourn its erosion. It simply continues the story. Even in its breaking, it remembers. So the next time you walk along a shore or a trail, pick up a stone, hold it for a moment, and feel its weight, its temperature, its texture. Know that it is older than the stars you see at night, older than the forests, older than the oceans as they are now. It carries the quiet of deep time, a calm that no storm can disturb. Even rocks remember time. They are the Earth's own memory made tangible, the silent witnesses to everything that has ever been and everything that will be again. 16. Water defies the rules of matter. If you hold a glass of water and look closely, you are holding something that should not exist as it does. It is both ordinary and impossible, clear, weightless, soft yet capable of carving mountains and sustaining every form of life. Water obeys the laws of physics, and yet, in small, quiet ways, it bends them. It expands when it freezes instead of contracting. It remains liquid through a temperature range where it should not. It clings to itself, yet spreads across everything it touches. It evaporates into clouds, condenses into rain, and falls back to earth, repeating this endless cycle for billions of years. Water is the most familiar thing on our planet, and still it behaves like a secret, a gentle defiance written into the chemistry of life. At its heart, water is a simple molecule, 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. But simplicity in this case hides wonder. The way those atoms bond creates a subtle polarity, one side slightly positive, the other slightly negative. This asymmetry makes water an artist of connection. The molecules attract one another, clinging in a web of invisible bonds called hydrogen bridges. These fragile connections are constantly forming and breaking, faster than thought, creating a fluid that is not solid yet not entirely free. It flows, but with structure. It yields, but holds together. This delicate tension is the source of all its magic. When water cools, most substances would simply slow their molecules, drawing closer, becoming denser. Water does this too, until it nears freezing. Then, in a quiet act of rebellion, it opens instead of closing. Its molecules lock into a lattice full of space, creating ice that floats above the denser liquid below. This is not just a quirk of chemistry, it is a gesture of kindness. Because ice rises, lakes and oceans freeze from the top down, creating a layer that insulates the life beneath. Fish sleep below the ice, roots still drink from unfrozen water, and the planet's cycles continue unbroken through the coldest winters. If ice sank, the seas would solidify from their depths, trapping life forever in frozen darkness. Instead, water chooses generosity over logic, and life endures. Water also defies the boundaries between solid, liquid, and gas. In most substances, these states are distinct, changing abruptly with temperature. But at a certain delicate balance of heat and pressure, a condition known as the triple point water exists in all 3 forms at once. Steam, liquid, and ice coexist, touching yet not merging, each perfectly balanced between transformation and stability. It is a moment that exists everywhere, from the breath of clouds to the frost on your window pane, from the surface of oceans to the depths of space. The universe rarely allows such harmony, but water finds it effortlessly. It exists in equilibrium, holding opposites without conflict, as though it understands the art of coexistence better than we do. This balance gives rise to its beauty. Every ripple, every wave, every drop reflects a conversation between order and chaos. Surface tension holds water together, forming droplets that glisten like jewels on leaves. The same force lets insects walk across ponds, their feet dimpling the surface without breaking it. In the ocean, that same property allows bubbles to rise and burst, releasing the breath of the deep into the air. Water's tension is like a quiet strength, invisible, flexible, yet powerful enough to shape entire worlds. Over time, it wears down even the hardest stone. Rivers carve canyons, one grain at a time. Rain smooths mountains into plains. Glaciers grind valleys from solid rock. Water does not rush its work. It simply continues, patient and unyielding. This paradox, its softness and its power, defines it. The same substance that fills a raindrop can cut through granite. The same wave that lulls a shore to sleep can tear it apart. Yet through all its forms, water seeks balance. It never destroys without also creating. It breaks down rock to make soil, erodes cliffs to form beaches, dissolves minerals that will one day become shells and bones. Its power is never cruel, only constant. Water is also the great connector. Every drop on Earth is part of a single, endless cycle that began billions of years ago. The molecules that make up your body, the water in your blood, in your eyes, in your breath, were once part of clouds, rivers, and oceans. They may have flowed through ancient forests, frozen in glaciers, drifted in rain over deserts. The water you drink today may have quenched the thirst of dinosaurs or shimmered once on the surface of comets before falling to Earth. It carries the memory of the universe itself, the continuity unbroken by time. When sunlight touches water, it becomes light's translator. It bends and scatters the rays, painting rainbows in the sky and dappling the ocean floor with dancing patterns. Each droplet acts as a prism, dividing white light into its hidden colors. When rain falls, the air fills with these tiny mirrors, and for a brief moment, the world glows with its own reflection. This play of light is more than beauty, it is communication. Water catches the fire of the sun and sends it back in softened form, making warmth visible, making color possible. Even within our own bodies, water is the medium of life's whisper. It carries nutrients through our veins, transmits electrical signals between cells, cools and cushions the heart, lungs, and brain. It fills the spaces between molecules, binding them in motion. Without water, nothing within us could move or think. Every thought, every breath, every heartbeat is shaped by its presence. It is both the architecture and the music of life, the structure and the rhythm that make existence possible. The sound of water itself is language. Waves against the shore, rain on leaves, streams over stones, each tells the story of motion finding rest. The frequencies of water's movement are naturally soothing because they mirror the patterns within our own bodies. The rhythm of waves echoes our breath. The patter of rain aligns with our heart. To listen to water is to hear the planet's pulse translated into sound. It comforts because it reminds us that we are made of the same element that sings. Perhaps that is why we are drawn to it, why we stare into rivers, oceans, and puddles as if searching for something. In its reflections, we see not only the world, but ourselves. Water never keeps what it mirrors, yet it shows everything, truthfully. It reveals light as color, shadow as shape, motion as form. To gaze into it is to be reminded of impermanence, that everything moves, everything changes, and still everything returns. In its humility, water accepts every shape it is given. It takes the form of the cup, the cloud, the stream, the storm. It does not resist, it becomes. When poured into the palm of your hand, it rests there, shining softly, without pride or fear. It is a teacher of gentleness and adaptation, an embodiment of patience. Water moves through the world without clinging to it, yet everything depends on its passage. And so, when we speak of life on Earth, we are really speaking of water shaped by it, carried by it, made of it. It flows through every vein, every root, every riverbed. It defies the rules, not for defiance's sake, but to make life possible. It reminds us that flexibility is strength, that stillness and motion are one, that the greatest power is expressed not in resistance, but in surrender. The next time you drink a glass of water, hold it to the light for a moment. See how it trembles, how it catches the glow, how it moves even in stillness. Within that simple clarity lies the universe's most generous miracle matter that refuses to behave so that everything else can live. Water defies the rules of matter because it has chosen a higher one, to nurture, to adapt, to endure. It is the quiet rebel of creation, forever flowing between states, never fixed, never still, always kind. 17. The northern lights are Earth's whisper to the sun, high above the cold silence of the world. Where the air thins and the stars burn steadily, a soft light begins to move. It does not blaze or strike like lightning, nor does it shine like fire. It ripples. Curtains of green, violet, and rose drift across the sky, bending and folding as if stirred by a breath too vast to be felt. The northern lights, the aurora borealis, are among the planet's quietest miracles. They make no sound, no heat, no lasting trace. Yet they are the visible language of the Earth speaking to the sun, a conversation of charged particles and magnetic fields, of energy turned to art. They are the planet's whisper to the star that gives it life. To understand them is to remember that space is not empty. Between the Earth and the sun lies a river of particles, the solar wind flowing endlessly outward from the star's surface. These particles are born in the sun's restless heart, in eruptions of plasma that rise and fall like tides of fire. When they reach the Earth, they do not simply pass by. The planet's magnetic field catches them, guiding them toward the poles where its invisible lines of force converge. There, the particles collide with the thin gases of the upper atmosphere. Oxygen, nitrogen, and those collisions create light. Each color that dances above is a note in that cosmic exchange. Green from oxygen, 100 kilometers high. Red from oxygen, higher still. Blue and purple from nitrogen, excited by the impact. Together they weave a moving tapestry across the night, painting the darkness with energy turned gentle. The aurora is both chaos and order, a meeting of fire and air that somehow produces peace. Its movement is shaped by magnetism, invisible currents that spiral and twist like threads in a loom. Scientists can measure these forces, can name them and trace their paths, but the experience of standing beneath them transcends explanation. When you watch the sky begin to glow, it feels as though the heavens themselves are breathing. The colors expand and fade, pulse and drift, never the same twice. They are alive in their impermanence, like the shimmer of thought made visible. Long before the science was known, people looked up at these lights and saw messages. In the frozen north, the Sami people called them Guovsahasat, meaning the light you can hear. Inuit legends spoke of spirits playing ball with the skulls of walruses, while Norse stories imagined them as reflections from the armor of Valkyries, guiding souls into the afterlife. For others, the lights were omens, blessings, or bridges to the divine. Though we now understand the particles and the physics, the wonder remains the same. Knowledge does not replace awe, it deepens it. To know that the aurora is sunlight, transformed by the Earth's own magnetic breath, is to realize that even our planet participates in the grand symphony of the cosmos. The Earth's magnetic field is its shield, generated by the motion of molten metal deep within its core. It protects us from the constant stream of solar radiation, deflecting most of it into space. But at the poles, where the field dips close to the surface, that protection becomes a window. Through those openings, the solar wind enters not to destroy, but to dance. The aurora is what happens when the planet's defense turns into expression. It is the Earth's way of saying to the sun, I am here. I receive you. I reflect your gift. From space, astronauts describe the aurora as a glowing halo encircling the poles, shifting in shape like a living ring of light. Seen from above, it forms ovals that expand and contract with the sun's activity, breathing in rhythm with the solar wind. The Earth, viewed from such height, seems to wear a luminous crown, a visible aura to match its unseen magnetism. The sun sends its energy outward in constant waves, and the Earth answers in color. The relationship is ancient and tender, a conversation carried on for billions of years, written in light across the sky. When solar storms erupt, the aurora grows fierce and vivid, cascading across lower latitudes where it is rarely seen. For a few nights, people far from the Arctic look up and find the heavens alive. The lights twist above forests, cities, deserts, reflecting on rivers and glass, reminding humanity that we live on a planet that moves and speaks. Within a larger order, the aurora does not appear for our eyes alone, yet it seems to recognize us to say, "You are part of this too." Beneath that shimmering sky, time feels different. The lights move slowly enough to watch, yet quickly enough to vanish. Their edges blur. Their hues shift from emerald to violet to crimson. Standing there, the cold biting your skin, you can almost sense the invisible forces that bind everything together, the charged particles flowing from the sun, the magnetic field looping through the earth, the atoms in the air responding with luminous joy. It is not just light you see, but relationship made visible. Energy meets matter, and together they create beauty. In silence, the aurora teaches us that communication does not always require sound. The earth and the sun have no words, yet they converse constantly in gravity and magnetism, in warmth and reflection, in light that travels across 93 million miles to be caught and released again. We are the witnesses to that dialogue, the brief observers of a love story written in plasma and air. When we look upward at the lights, we are seeing connection itself, not metaphor, but physics turned to poetry. Even when the aurora fades, its memory lingers. The particles that created it continue their journey, drifting deeper into the atmosphere, joining the cycles of wind and weather that shape our days. The magnetic ripples that guided them spread outward, subtle but enduring, blending into the planet's quiet hum. The lights are gone, but their echo remains in the field that surrounds us always. Every compass needle, every migrating bird, every drop of charged rain responds to that unseen influence. The aurora is only its most beautiful face. At times, the southern lights, the aurora australis, mirror their northern twin, glowing over the Antarctic with equal grace. Together, they form a symmetry that encircles the planet. North and south, yin and yang, day and night. The Earth is not divided, but unified by these lights, its poles conversing through magnetic lines that pass through its heart. The planet glows from within and without, its spirit illuminated by the touch of the Sunday. If you ever find yourself beneath the aurora, allow yourself to be still. Let the light move above you and within you. Breathe with it. Feel how your own heart seems to quiet, how your thoughts fall into the same slow rhythm as the sky. The aurora asks nothing, demands nothing. It simply exists, a reminder that beauty can emerge from collision, that even energy hurled from a distant star can become something soft, silent, and kind. The northern lights are not just a spectacle, they are an expression of belonging. They remind us that the sun and the earth are not separate, that life itself depends on their dialogue. They remind us that even violence, the roaring of solar storms, the crackling of charged winds can give birth to gentleness. And they remind us, perhaps most tenderly, that the universe does not always shout. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it speaks through light that dances across the dark. A cosmic voice saying in colors older than language, "I am here, and so are you." 18. Sleep itself is an act of healing. There comes a moment each night when the world exhales. The light fades, the wind slows, and everything living begins to retreat into stillness. Birds settle into branches, flowers fold their petals, and even the restless oceans calm their breath. In this slow descent into quiet, life returns to itself. Sleep, that soft surrender, is not an escape from the world, but a return to harmony with it. It is the most natural act of healing the body and the mind, can perform a nightly restoration written into the design of every creature that breathes. To close one's eyes is not to leave the world, but to rejoin its deeper rhythm, to drift into the same timeless pulse that moves beneath the tides and through the stars. For as long as there has been life, there has been rest. Even single-celled organisms follow patterns of activity and pause, responding to the cycle of light and darkness. Plants open their leaves to the sun and close them at dusk, following an inner clock that mirrors the turning of the planet. In animals, this rhythm has become more intricate, woven into every heartbeat and breath. Humans carry within their brains the same cosmic timing, the circadian rhythm tuned to the gentle alternation of day and night. It is a quiet inheritance from the earth itself. When we sleep, we are not stepping away from the world. We are aligning with it. As the body drifts toward sleep, it undergoes a kind of transformation. The heart slows, the muscles release their tension, and the mind begins to loosen its grip on waking thought. Waves of electrical activity sweep through the brain, shifting from quick, sharp patterns to long, rolling ones, like the tide turning toward calm. The chemistry of wakefulness fades as soothing hormones rise: melatonin, serotonin, adenosine, whispering to each cell that it is time to rest. The body does not simply power down, it prepares for work of another kind. In sleep, healing begins. Deep within the brain, cells called glia, the caretakers of the nervous system, awaken in the quiet hours. They move through the network of neurons, clearing away the waste left behind by thought, memory, and motion. The brain cleans itself only in sleep, washing away the residue of waking consciousness in waves of cerebrospinal fluid that pulse gently with each heartbeat. It is a nightly cleansing that keeps the mind clear and whole. In this way, sleep is not idleness, but repair and invisible renewal that keeps us capable of wonder. Elsewhere in the body, similar miracles unfold. During sleep, tissues rebuild, bones strengthen, muscles knit themselves back together. The immune system stirs into motion, sending its quiet sentinels through the bloodstream to find and mend what is broken. Hormones regulating growth, hunger, and balance are released in delicate patterns, timed to the depth of rest. Even the heart uses sleep as a moment of grace. Its beat softens, its rhythm steadies, conserving strength for the waking hours. The body, in its wisdom, uses stillness as a tool for survival. Yet sleep is not only a physical act, it is the mind's sanctuary. When we dream, we enter a theater that belongs entirely to ourselves. The rules of waking life dissolve, and imagination takes their place. The brain replays fragments of memory, weaving them into strange new patterns. Faces we have known, places we have visited, thoughts we have half forgotten all reappear in combinations that make no sense, yet feel deeply familiar. Through dreaming, the mind processes what it cannot while awake. It files, it reconciles, it heals. Emotional pain softens in sleep, grief finds shape, and joy finds renewal. Dreams are not distractions. They are the language of restoration. Every creature experiences its own version of this nightly renewal. Dolphins rest one half of their brain at a time, keeping the other awake to swim and breathe. Birds take short, rhythmic naps mid-flight, their bodies trusting instinct to guide them. Even trees seem to dip their branches slightly at night, as if bowing to the quiet. Sleep, in all its forms, is life's way of balancing motion with stillness. It is the pause between notes that makes the music whole. There is poetry in the vulnerability of sleep. To rest deeply is to let go, to surrender, control, and trust the world enough to close one's eyes. It is an act of faith as much as biology. In the dark, every creature becomes soft, defenseless, and still. Yet this very surrender is what allows life to continue. In sleep, we reconnect with something larger than ourselves, the rhythm of the earth turning, the pull of the moon, the soft hum of existence carrying on without us. To Sleep is to remember that the world does not depend on our constant movement. It continues, patient and vast, while we rest. In the modern world, we often treat sleep as optional, a luxury rather than a necessity. Yet the body remembers what the mind forgets. When we deprive ourselves of rest, everything begins to falter. The heart beats harder, the mind grows duller, emotions fray like overused fabric. The world becomes harsher, edges sharper, light too bright. Without sleep, we lose our balance, not just physical but spiritual. The ancient rhythm that connects us to the planet slips out of tune. But when we honor it, when we let ourselves drift into the dark, with gratitude instead of guilt, the world grows gentle again. Sleep is not time lost, it is time returned. The experience of falling asleep is like sinking beneath a calm sea. At first, thoughts ripple across the surface echoes of the day, plans for tomorrow. Then slowly, as you breathe, they scatter and fade. The body feels heavier, the air quieter, the mind more distant. You drift downward into warmth and silence, where memory and imagination mingle. The surface world remains above, still spinning, but you are deeper now, where sound softens and time expands. In that depth, something inside you begins to repair itself without your knowing. Wounds close, worries dissolve, and energy gathers again, waiting for the morning light. When dawn returns, the process reverses. Light touches the eyelids, the heartbeat quickens, and consciousness rises like mist from a lake. The world reappears, familiar yet somehow new. After sleep, colors seem sharper, sounds clearer, and thoughts lighter. It is as though the universe has exhaled through you, leaving you clean. The simple act of waking is proof that healing has taken place. The mind steps back into time, the body back into motion, carrying the quiet strength gathered in the dark. If you ever find yourself struggling to rest, remember that sleep does not demand force, it invites surrender. The body already knows what to do. It remembers the rhythm written in its blood, the pulse that mirrors the tides, the breath that echoes the wind. You do not fall asleep, you return to it, like a leaf returning to the river from which it came. Sleep welcomes you, the way the ocean welcomes every drop of rain. It asks only that you trust gravity, trust the rhythm, trust the night. To sleep is to participate in the oldest ritual of life, the constant cycle of activity and renewal, light and shadow, day and night. It is the body's way of remembering the wisdom of the earth, that nothing grows without rest, that healing happens not through striving, but through stillness. In every creature, in every corner of the planet, this truth repeats itself endlessly, a heartbeat of restoration that pulses even in the silence of stars. Sleep is not absence, it is presence in its most peaceful form. So tonight, when the darkness deepens and the air grows calm, let yourself drift without resistance. Let your thoughts settle like dust in a quiet room. The universe will continue its turning. The world will keep its vigil, and you will rest in its rhythm. Sleep itself is an act of healing, the earth's way of holding you close, whispering softly in the language of restoration. You may rest now. Everything continues. 19. The world is never still. If you were to stand perfectly still to quiet your breath, still your hands, and listen, you might believe that the world has stopped with you. The air feels calm. The trees seem frozen. The mountains wait without movement. Yet stillness is an illusion. Beneath every surface, within every silence, the world is alive with motion. The earth is turning beneath your feet. The oceans are rising and falling. The atoms in your body are trembling with energy. Even when it seems that nothing is happening, everything is happening. The world is never still. It hums, it breathes, it flows, a ceaseless current of motion that connects every grain of dust to every star. To see this motion requires only patience. Look at the clouds. They drift so slowly across the sky that you might not notice their travel until you turn away and look back. Look at the shadows on the ground. They creep with the sun's movement, stretching and shrinking with the day's breath. The earth spins at 1,000 miles an hour, yet we feel no wind from its turning. It circles the sun once each year, carrying us through space at a speed so vast it defies sense. And the sun itself moves, orbiting the center of the galaxy along with billions of other stars, the whole Milky Way sweeping through the cosmos like a river of light. The stillness we feel is a kind of mercy, the calm surface of an ocean too vast to comprehend. Even the solid ground beneath us is restless. The continents drift upon molten rock, their motions so slow we only notice its effects after millions of years. Mountains rise where plates collide. Volcanoes open like wounds where the crust stretches thin. The ground that feels eternal beneath your feet is, in truth, a slow wave, frozen by time's scale. If you could speed it up, compress millions of years into a single breath, you would see the earth ripple like water, folding and breaking, healing and shifting in endless transformation. The world beneath us moves like a living being. Inhaling mountains, exhaling plains. The air around us, though invisible, is never still either. It swirls and dances constantly, flowing across land and sea in currents that encircle the globe. What feels like a breeze brushing your cheek is part of a great circulation that links every corner of the planet. A gust of wind in one hemisphere can ripple through the atmosphere and influence weather half a world away. The air carries more than motion. It carries life. Pollen, seeds, spores, and songs all drift upon it, traveling vast distances without effort. In this way, even the gentlest wind is a messenger, connecting the breath of one place to another. Water, too, is always moving. It cycles endlessly, from sky to sea to soil to sky again. Each drop in a river has traveled through countless forms: cloud, rain, ice, and mist. Even when trapped in glaciers or deep aquifers, it still shifts and flows at its own glacial pace. Oceans breathe with the pull of the moon, their tides rising and falling like the heartbeat of the planet. Beneath their surface, vast currents move silently, carrying warmth and life across hemispheres. A molecule of water may take centuries to complete its journey around the Earth, but it never ceases moving. It remembers every phase, every transformation, every touch of sunlight and starlight it has known. Inside every living being, movement never stops. The blood that flows through your veins travels thousands of miles in your lifetime, looping endlessly from heart to limb and back again. Your lungs rise and fall in a rhythm that began before you were born and will continue until your final breath. Even when you rest, trillions of cells work quietly, dividing, repairing, exchanging signals, passing molecules like messages between them. Within each cell, atoms vibrate at unfathomable speed, spinning and colliding in the constant dance that gives rise to life. The body, like the earth, appears still only to the unseeing eye. Within, it is an entire cosmos of motion. Even the things we call still stone, glass, mountain, star, are restless in their own way. Within their atomic structures, particles spin and oscillate, their energies balanced yet active. In every solid, there is vibration. In every silence, a hum. Matter itself is nothing but energy slowed down, a temporary illusion of stability in an ocean of motion. The rock you hold in your hand, seemingly unmoving, is a slow-motion storm of atoms bound by invisible forces. Given enough time, even that rock will erode, melt, dissolve, or be reborn as one, something else. Nothing in existence is ever truly at rest. Everything is becoming. The night sky, too, is a sea of motion. The stars we see as fixed points are moving through space at incredible speed, their light reaching us after traveling for centuries. The constellations we know today are temporary, delicate alignments in an ever-changing universe. Thousands of years from now, the sky will have rearranged itself, familiar patterns scattered like sand in wind. Yet from our perspective, the stars seem eternal, just as our own lives, so fleeting, seem long to us. Time shapes our perception of motion. What seems still in one moment may be rushing forward in another. Even thought itself is movement, a flow of electrical impulses across the brain's pathways, a storm of ions and chemistry creating something as intangible as consciousness. When we dream, neurons fire in shifting patterns, forming images and feelings that move faster than language. The mind never stops its motion, it merely changes direction. In waking life, its energy moves outward toward the world. In sleep, it moves inward, reshaping itself. In both, it remains alive, a river of awareness flowing through the valley of the body. The illusion of stillness comforts us. It allows us to rest within the endless flux, to imagine pause where none truly exists. But perhaps stillness is not the absence of motion. Perhaps it is harmony within it. The calm of a lake is not because it has stopped moving, but because every ripple has found balance. The quiet of a forest is not because it is frozen, but because its movements are perfectly aligned. The wind through leaves, the insects in the soil, the slow stretch of roots underground. Stillness, then, is not silence, but unity, the peace that arises when motion becomes music. When you sit quietly and breathe, you are participating in that music. The air enters and leaves your lungs. Blood flows through your heart. Your thoughts drift and return, all while the planet turns beneath you. You are not separate from the world's movement. You are part of its choreography. Your heartbeat is the earth's drum, your breath its wind, your mind its current. You do not move through the universe moves through you. To realize this is to find a different kind of peace. Not the peace of stillness, but the peace of belonging. The understanding that motion is not chaos, but continuity. Every atom, every ocean, every star, and every breath is connected in one unbroken wave of becoming. Nothing is ever truly lost. It only changes form. The mountain becomes dust. The dust becomes cloud. The cloud becomes rain. And the rain becomes the ocean once again. The world is never still, because life itself is never done creating. So when you find yourself seeking silence, do not look for what is unmoving. Look instead for the gentle rhythm beneath all movement, the heartbeat of existence that carries everything within it. Stand by a river and listen. Sit beneath a tree and feel the air move against your skin. Place your hand over your heart and feel its pulse. The world is not still, and that is its beauty. The same motion that stirs the stars stirs you. Every breath you take is proof that you are part of the earth's great turning, that even in quiet, you are moving with the universe, and the universe is moving with you. 20. The universe is a lullaby without end. There is a silence older than stars, a stillness so vast, it holds every sound that has ever been. From that silence came the first vibration, a tremor so small it could have passed unnoticed, yet it carried within it everything that would ever exist. From that pulse, the universe began to sing, not with melody or word, but with resonance. Waves of energy expanding outward, rippling through nothingness, creating space, matter, and time. Even now, billions of years later, that first note still echoes. The background hum of the cosmos, faint and eternal, is the residue of creation's voice. The universe is not a machine of chaos. It is a song of becoming, a lullaby without end. Every atom in your body, every star in the sky, Every grain of dust that drifts through sunlight vibrates with the memory of that ancient music. The universe hums softly through all things. Its rhythm is the rhythm of expansion and return, of life emerging, fading, and becoming again. Galaxies spin like slow mandalas, planets turn in quiet arcs, and between them flows a sound too deep for ears, but not for being. Scientists have captured its faint echo in the cosmic microwave background radiation left over from the birth of everything. It whispers through the night sky, a record of light stretched thin by time. A lullaby the universe sings to itself as it dreams of what it might become next. If you could listen without ears, if you could hear not through air but through existence itself, you would perceive that everything moves in harmony. The orbit of moons, the flicker of atoms, the patterns of wind and tide, all belong to the same infinite rhythm. The spaces between stars are not empty. They shimmer with particles that pulse in waves of energy. The vacuum itself hums with possibility, a field of quiet potential from which all creation arises. In this way, silence is not the absence of sound, but its source, the pregnant pause from which the next note will always emerge. The universe has no conductor, no beginning and end in the human sense. Yet, it has order, a structure of motion so vast and precise that it feels almost like breath. Galaxies cluster together in filaments that stretch across unimaginable distances, woven like threads of melody connecting one note to the next. Within those galaxies, stars form from clouds of dust and gas, ignite, burn, and one day collapse, scattering their elements to form new stars, new worlds, new life. Each death feeds another birth. Each silence gives rise to new sound. This endless cycle is the rhythm of cosmic existence, the universe inhaling and exhaling in intervals longer than time itself. Every star sings. This is not a metaphor, but a truth. Deep within their burning cores, pressure waves move through the plasma, creating oscillations that ripple to their surfaces. These vibrations can be measured frequencies of light and sound that reveal the star's age, size, and temperature. Some stars thrum in low, slow tones. Others shimmer in high, delicate pitches. Astronomers translate these oscillations into audible frequencies, and when we listen, we hear the cosmos breathing. What we call space is not silent at all. It is an orchestra of suns, each one singing its part in the grand harmony of creation. The earth itself joins this quiet symphony. Beneath our feet, seismic waves resonate through the crust, deep tones rising from the shifting of continents and the heartbeat of magma below. The atmosphere hums with infrasonic waves, vibrations from storms, oceans, and even the movement of clouds. The planet has its own music, imperceptible but constant. To live here is to be part of that vibration, to exist within the song's low and patient rhythm. Every heartbeat, every breath, is an echo of the planet's tone, an instrument woven into the harmony of the universe. Even our lives, brief as they are, follow this musical pattern: birth, growth, love, rest, and return, each phase a note in the melody of being. The body moves through rhythms: the pulse of the heart, the cycle of breath, the cadence of waking and sleep. These are not isolated beats, but variations on a cosmic theme. What you call your heartbeat is the echo of an ancient vibration that began before time, now localized within your chest. When you sleep, you drift into that deeper rhythm again, the same rhythm that moves the stars and tides. You are a single tone in a song, too vast to hear in full. Yet every tone matters, every vibration contributes to the balance. Perhaps that is why lullabies calm us, not because of their words, but because their rhythm returns us to the cosmic pulse. A lullaby is repetition and reassurance, a reflection of the pattern that underlies all things. The gentle rise and fall of melody mimics the rise and fall of breath, the expansion and contraction of galaxies. When you close your eyes and let that rhythm carry you, you are aligning with the oldest sound in existence. You are remembering what the universe has known since the beginning, that creation and rest are not opposites, but partners in an infinite dance. In the vast silence of deep space, where no air carries sound, waves of light and gravity still sing across the dark. Black holes merge, sending ripples through space-time itself, vibrations so immense they stretch and compress the fabric of reality. These gravitational waves move outward endlessly, carrying the memory of their origin. They are the universe's deepest bass notes, so low they can only be felt, not heard. When we detect them, we are listening to the echo of cosmic events billions of years old, as if the universe were playing back its own history in sound. All things eventually fade, but even fading becomes part of the music. Stars burn out, galaxies drift apart, heat disperses into the endless dark. Yet the rhythm does not end, it simply changes key. The matter of old stars becomes the dust of new ones. Their light becomes the warmth of other worlds. The universe may cool, but its song continues, soft and enduring, carried in the motion of every particle, in the faint hum that fills even the emptiest space. There is no silence in death, only transformation, the melody changing, never ceasing. When you lie down at night and feel the quiet around you, that quiet is not empty. It is filled with the same vibration that moves through the stars. You are surrounded by sound too subtle for ears, a lullaby that holds every life, every atom, The universe does not sing to be heard. It sings because singing is its nature, because existence itself is resonance. To live is to be part of that resonance, to vibrate for a brief moment in harmony with everything that has ever been. So, when you close your eyes and drift towards sleep, imagine the galaxies turning slowly, the stars pulsing in their distant rhythm, the atoms within you trembling in response. You are part of that same eternal song. You have always been. From the first vibration of creation to the last whisper of starlight, the universe hums in continuity. It does not end, and neither do you. You are not apart from the lullaby, you are one of its notes, glowing softly in the measure of infinity. The universe is a lullaby without end, vast, gentle, and patient. It sings to itself in waves of light and gravity, in the breath of wind and the rhythm of your heart, and in every moment of silence, it invites you to listen, to rest, to remember. The song that began with creation still carries through you, through everything. You are the music the universe made to hear itself, and it will never stop singing.